What's up, everyone? It's the Interview Queen Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch True Heel Heat.
What's up, True Heel Heat? True Heel Heat. What's up? True Heel Heat. All hands is on me. Hello, everyone. It's the hardcore legend Mick Foley wishing a nice day to everyone there, right there at True Heel Heat. Yeah.
Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with True Heel Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and it was supposed to be Twitter, but we're on Romeo's Twitter nonetheless for our WWE SummerSlam 2024 review, breaking down the show from last night from Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. And boy, oh boy, did a lot change, did a lot happen. We have an implosion to talk about. We got 4 new champions to discuss, and we have the return of the original, the one true, the one and only Tribal Chief. And of course, I have to be joined by someone from the True Heel Heat gang. He is the one and only, my co-host from the True Heel Heat flagship podcast. Check out True Heel Heat 288 from yesterday. He's joining me today, the good brother, the True Jaw. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. SummerSlam, because my expectations were low, it over exceeded that. So I'm happy about that.
That is good. That is good. It definitely was one of the more noteworthy, newsworthy shows of the WWE year. Probably the most that happened on a WWE premium live event since WrestleMania for sure. And a lot happened on last night's show. So we got a lot to discuss. We appreciate y'all if you're joining us live. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible is by dropping a thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. We've had such a big week from True Heel Heat because we've done The 3 count with SP3 made its return this week because we had the big news with Shane McMahon. We had our SummerSlam preview with Ella J. We had the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, like I said, from yesterday. And then yesterday's watch party for SummerSlam was one of our most viewed watch parties of the year. So thank you so much for all the support throughout the week. But hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here, because we're always here pretty much 7 days a week with videos, with live streams, with shorts. So this is the best channel to be at. And of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, you can drop a thumbs up, a heart emoji, an angry emoji, a laughing emoji. However, SummerSlam 2024 made you feel. Let us know with those emotes. You're watching us on Twitter, retweet the video. It helps other professional wrestling fans like yourself watch this True Hill Heat content. And if you're watching on any of those platforms, you can send a message in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys and hear your thoughts, your hot takes, your questions on last night's SummerSlam. So, of course, if you want to express yourself, the best way to do that is in the live chat if you are with us live. If you're watching on demand, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about SummerSlam 2024. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us live, the best way to have your comment highlighted on screen to be a part of this review is with hitting that $sign and sending a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us, as always. And just to show you how it's done, the one and only good brother Vala B is in the chat. Thank you so much, Vala B, for showing your support and sending a super chat donation to start us off. He says, thanks for starting 2 hours later than usual. I got time to touch grass and still make it to the review. SummerSlam was a way better than expected show for him. So thank you for the super chat. We're starting a little bit later than we usually start our reviews as well as the True Hill Heat flagship podcast at 11:05 a.m. Eastern time. But I had to go out with my kids and my missus and touch grass ourselves. They woke me up I've only slept for 4.5 hours because I went to sleep at 4:30 because I was arguing with someone in the True Hill Heat chat that was much higher on a matchup on this show than I was. And if you check Cage Match this morning, a lot of people were. I think a lot of people agreed with me more than they agreed with him on what was the worst match on this show. But I told him, I was like, it's 4:30 a.m. here. If you want to really argue, you really want to debate, if you really want to prove yourself right, show up to the review. And no, he ran from the grind. I'm sorry. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Josh, you got to witness the argument or debate that was going on. Even this is the crazy part. Y'all want to hear the crazy part about this? And Josh is going to be like, wow, for real? Jimmy Macaram agrees with me. Me and Jimmy Macaram have been doing 157 episodes of AE Ramble. And I think I've only said that only a couple of times, that Jimmy Macaram agreed with me on what was the worst match on this show. What do you think, Josh?
Yesterday, when I saw it, I definitely didn't agree with the other take. Usually with me, I usually try to look down the middle, right? Usually, when I see something, I try to see the positives and the negatives and all that stuff, right? And also just how I feel about it overall. And I necessarily didn't fully agree. I agree with certain things, but I didn't think that match was the worst match. I think it was far from it, in my opinion. Were there things that could have been better? Absolutely. But overall, yeah, I also didn't agree with it because it was just I think there's another worse match than this.
It seemed like our chat, our True Hill Heat chat, was in agreement with me as well. If you saw what the comments being made from such luminaries as our good brother Top Guy JJ was not happy during the latter half of this show.
Yeah, he showed up during the main event. That tells you something. That tells you, oh, all right, that's how you know it's bad when he pops up and he gives his grievance on what he watched.
But yes, we're going to talk all about SummerSlam 2024 for sure. We got in the chat another super chat donation from our good brother Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B. He said, drop this biblical verse on the reaction show. He says, thou shalt hail any man tribal chief, but the one true chief, or the islanders be up your grill. See? Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Put it in a Bible. Put it in a Bible. This is stuff to live by. And Greg Carter, no, that was definitely not the worst match on the show. That is preposterous. In my eyes, I don't know if you can have a different opinion, but that's preposterous.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, that might have been the best match of the night. I'm just gonna spoil it for myself. There's a lot of great things that both guys did that I think it gets overlooked, right? Because when it comes to Punk, a lot of his stuff is storytelling, right? Like if you really want to put Punk's match qualities career, like his career, on like a microscope, a lot of his stuff is storytelling based. Like he doesn't do a lot of like crazy spots. He doesn't do a lot of these crazy things a lot of people probably think he does because he was an indie darling at one point, but he's far from that. He's kind of like the WWE kind of spectrum kind of style that he does, and that's what he was doing in AEW as well. So I don't agree with that being I think that was actually one of the best matches of the night.
We got Vala B. He says Romeo called me too harsh for what I said about
He knows who it is. Doesn't make it
yeah,
funny.
exactly. At least someone knows what I'm referring to. He says, like, I even said that he can grow, acting like I won't give him another chance. He'll always get more chances too. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Emmanuel, and you're entitled to that opinion. And I think that if our good brother Romeo would have showed up and just made the argument that Sammy and Braun was the worst match of the night, like Emmanuel is doing here, he would have had something to stand on. And there is points where you can say that was worse than the main event. But when you tell me and double down on it and tell me other matches was worse than the main event, no, you're bugging. You're bugging in my eyes. You jumped the shark. You tried to make a point, and then you saying Nia and Bailey was worse. No, it was not. No, it was not.
Yeah,
it was.
I think,
And then he said Logan and LA. Now I was like, that was LA Knight's best match of his career. What are we talking about?
Actually, probably was. It probably was, and that's why I was like, I don't know. I think if you're gonna stand by a match, like if you're gonna say like this was the worst match, you should stand by it. Once you start going after other matches, then it's kind of like you kind of lose the argument because your whole perspective was this match was worse, and then now you're bringing up other matches. It's kind of like that isn't what is being discussed. You just said that this was the worst match. Why was it the worst match? But now when you start bringing up other shit, then it's like, all right, you kind of lost me there.
Yeah, you lost the debate, and you lost the people that would have been on your side as well. But we got Frank World in the chat. Says, what's up, SP3, Josh, and Chad? We appreciate y'all for joining us in the chat. Keep coming with those comments. You can also send a super chat donation like our good brother Vala B in the chat. But we got a lot to discuss from this show, so we'll get into it. What did you think about the crowd last night in Cleveland, Ohio, for the Cleveland Browns Stadium? For a stadium show, I think they were very loud. And I think they were into most of the things on this show. What did you think?
The crowd itself, I mean, it was all right. I just think that when it comes to WWE crowds, I think, to be honest with you, and I've said this before, I've said this several times this year, I think that we've gotten spoiled when it comes to like certain reactions because of them going overseas and they've been louder reactions. So now when you kind of get like the American-based kind of fans, it's kind of like, oh, they're loud, but they're nowhere near what they've done overseas. So I thought they were good for the most part. I thought the main event, I thought they were kind of just dead. Like it kind of just felt like they were waiting for something massive, which they did. You know, they end up getting they end up getting it, but it was kind of a weird feeling because it was like they're waiting for something, they're waiting for something, they're waiting for something. Usually that sometimes that could kill a vibe. And I think that's part of the reason that main event got hurt. There's more stuff. We'll get into that, but I think that's part of a factor because the crowd was dead for the most part. Like that crowd was dead. It was kind of like, all right, let's just wait for Tribal Chief to come out, guys. Let's save our energies. And that's what I noticed with that shit too. Like they were kind of like waiting for the big moments.
Yeah. We got Dion Jenkins, who's probably kind of leaning towards my point of Dia. He says Solo ain't ready for the main event. Maybe one day, but not now. I think that's what last night proved to me. Like nothing against the guy. I actually have been one of his supporters, on the flagship show, on other shows. I've been very into his character work and his promo work, but as far as in the ring, I knew that this was going to be the real test for him, and I can't say he passed that test.
I don't think he did, and I think Dion is very he's very generous when he says maybe one day, because I don't think that's happening, to be honest with you. And that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong, and I hope Solo proves me wrong someday, but I'm like, if this is the guy if this is what I'm getting in the future, then it's not looking good. This is kind of what we expected from Solo. Again, the guy is super young. He got into the business. I think he got signed with WWE. Like he was only like 2 years into the business. So again, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt for a lot of leeway because he is such a young guy, and within the business years, he's still a puppy compared to like other guys. Other guys don't get better until like 10 years in. And you're talking about a guy who's like less than 6 years, probably, right? 6 or 7 years in the business. So when it comes to that, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just like, when you get put into these big spots, he got put into this big, enormous storyline because of his family. And I think that's the trend that it's going. Like a lot of these guys are getting opportunities because of the Bloodline storyline. And I know like people have flirted with like the idea of the other guy that's in the indies right now, Zilla Fatu. Like they're talking about him. But I'm like, yo, you bring him in now, like it's gonna be the same shit with like Solo, probably worse, because he's even younger than Solo. And he's not even ready. He's not close to being ready. And I know people are excited about that, but it's like, bro, the dude is not ready. He has potential. Like I've seen some of his stuff. I like his version of the spike because he does like a jumping running spike, kind of like a Superman kind of punch.
Yeah, it's like a Superman punch spike. Yeah.
Which I like it. Like that's that's pretty cool to see, but the kid is not ready. Like I've seen his stuff. He has potential. He's nowhere near ready. And if you was to bring him to the WWE right now, he would sink. And I wouldn't want that. And that's what we kind of been, with Solo, he's held his own for the last few months when it comes to like character development and being the tribal chief. But besides that, once the bell rings, a different story. And unfortunately last night it just didn't go because even if he loses, right, we all knew he was going to lose, but then it's like all that matters is like if you just bust your ass, you look good, and you lose, that's all people are going to talk about. But if you lose and it looks like shit, then it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like it's just people are going to look at the negative, and unfortunately that's where we're at with Solo right now.
But we did get a couple of notes from the countdown or pre-show for WWE SummerSlam. You had Joe Testadori, who was the announcer from ESPN, who has been signed by WWE. It was announced on the pre-show that he will start with the company in September, as Michael Cole will be moving back over to the SmackDown show, as he'll be returning to USA Network, while Testadori will be commentating on Monday Night Raw. So they're switching up the announce team. So that was a big announcement made during the pre-show to the card. And then we kicked off the main card of SummerSlam with Jelly Roll and a choir performing God Bless America. We then had Triple H come out, who welcomed us to SummerSlam, asking the Cleveland crowd if they were ready. He then introduced Jelly Roll for another performance of the SummerSlam theme song "Liar" with clips playing featuring tonight's wrestlers. This was in place of the regular intro video. And then we had The Miz also welcome us to SummerSlam in the crowd, in the dog pound at Cleveland Brown Stadium. My niggas, y'all had a 3-hour pre-show. Y'all couldn't do any of this shit in the 3-hour pre-show. Why did we have to waste the first 10 minutes on this shit? That was what I put in my notes. Like that was a very overly long intro to the show. How many people do we need to welcome us to the show? We had Triple H, Jelly Roll, and The Miz welcome us to the goddamn show. What did you think about that, Josh?
I did not see any of it. Thank God.
Oh, well, good on you. Good on you. I got to give you credit on that one. You're one of the lucky ones. We do have a super chat donation before we get into the first match of the night. Chuck Berries, thank you so much for the super chat donation. He says, the one word I would use to describe this year's SummerSlam is transitional. 4 new champions was quite a bit for this card, in my opinion. I think it felt right. I think that it was a much needed scenery change, especially on the Raw side of things. Raw feels very fresh with the title changes that happened on this show, as well as the big angles that went down in regards to shaking up the top faction over on Monday Night Raw. But with that in mind, let's talk about the first matchup on the card, which was for the WWE Women's World Championship. You had Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Pat McAfee on the commentary for the show, and the opening match kicked off at about 7:14 p.m. Eastern Time, as you had Rhea Ripley with Dominik Mysterio in her corner, going up and challenging Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. The matchup started with Rhea playing cat and mouse with Liv for the first 90 seconds or so. Ripley cut her off and started clubbering her with clotheslines and a half and half suplex and a headbutt. Rhea looked to hit the riptide, but Morgan was able to slip out and drove Rhea shoulder first into the turnbuckle. Rhea was favoring her previously injured shoulder, which really became the story of this matchup. She really sold it really, really well, like she was hurt again. Dom checked on her, but Morgan started putting the boots to her shoulder, started targeting her shoulder in the ring. We got Rhea, who came back with a big boot. Morgan went for a dive on the outside when Rhea was brought to the floor after Liv reversed something, and she goes for the dive. But Dom actually shoves Rhea out the way and takes the Morgan dive, wiping out Dirty Dom. Rhea then attacks Liv from behind. She puts her in the ring, and then this is one of my favorite spots of this whole entire matchup. Rhea Ripley slamming her shoulder into the announce table to pop it back in the socket, which popped the place huge in this opening matchup. Ripley made her comeback while continuing to sell her shoulder. She went for a riptide, but Morgan was able to reverse it into a DDT. I love how Rhea Ripley always sells the DDT, doing the kind of the headstand on it. Ripley applied the prism lock, but couldn't get the leverage on her injured shoulder that she was selling throughout the matchup. Morgan used her legs to yank Ripley shoulder first into the turnbuckle again. That spot didn't work as well as the first one, but Morgan was able to hit a big crucifix bomb, which looked really good for a 2 count. Ripley hit a 1-arm power bomb. She's still favoring her shoulder. She repeatedly rams it into the turnbuckle. Morgan brings a chair into the ring, not even looking to use it, looking for Rhea to use it to get herself disqualified, but Rhea boots her and then delivers the riptide, She does not go for the cover. She instead lets her anger and her emotions get to her. She picks up the steel chair, but it is Dirty Dom who stops her from using it. The crowd popped like that was the betrayal, but Dom told her you couldn't win the title that way. So it looked like a genuine move that Dom was doing to help out Rhea. Liv is able to push Rhea into Dom, knocking him off the apron. She hits the Oblivion, but only gets a 2 count. This place explodes again. The crowd was going nuts for certain parts of this matchup. Then as the crowd is getting nuts, Liv recovering, Rhea's getting up by the ropes. We get Dom, who slides the chair into the ring. He then gets on the apron to distract the referee. You can even see him signaling to Liv to hit the Oblivion again. She hits the Oblivion, a second one on the steel chair. She slides the steel chair out of the ring. The referee turns around. 1, 2, 3. Liv Morgan retains the WWE Women's World Championship, and the sly smile on Dominik's face as they replay and show us what happened. Liv's on the outside celebrating her victory. When Dom helps her to her feet, the crowd pops for this spot. He grabs her by the face and they start full on making out. They were all together all along, that this was all a ploy. They put the wool over Rhea Ripley's eyes. Rhea Ripley has a maniacal face. She is filled with emotion, having a mini breakdown in the ring, while the commentary team sold this great. Like, you have Pat McAfee calling Dom a piece of shit. You have Michael Cole saying, I always knew he couldn't be trusted. I always knew he was a weasel, a rat. While Dom and Liv walk up the entranceway together, they are now our new power couple, our heel power couple, and Dom loving the reaction from the crowd. He starts flipping off Cleveland as they head to the back. This was perfectly executed with the finish, with Dom's official turn. The match overall was really, really good. A very entertaining opener to the show. I gave it 3 3/4 stars for the match itself. The angle is like 4-star plus. Like, it's a great angle, and it pays off the months and months and months of buildup. It felt like for a while they were drawing it out too much, but we finally feel like we have turned the page to a new chapter and Liv officially with Dom. And I thought Rhea Ripley sold this perfectly as well. And I love good brother Buddy Matthews of House of Black and AEW tweeting after this angle goes down. He says, TK, can I go help mommy real quick? Great stuff from everyone involved here. Josh, what did you think about Liv and Rhea's matchup and the turn by Dom betraying Rhea Ripley?
The match was good. It was better than I expected. It's not so much that I expected it to be a bad match. It's just that I generally don't care much about Liv Morgan matches. That's just how I feel about it. But both ladies did work well together. A lot of it was more of an story angle. You know, they were going for the whole shoulder thing for Rhea. You know, and then when she put back in place, then it got the crowd going again. And then, you know, the turn, I mean, even though I'm like, we all saw it coming, they did it perfectly. The only nitpick I will say is that the camera angle when he was smiling, like, it was a great shot. What I think where they kind of messed up at was the commentary, because Michael Cole tried to make it seem like, oh, he messed up again. But then before that, we saw the visual of Dom smiling. So like they're trying to sell the aspect, oh, like Dom messed up, he fucked up. And then that's when they realized like he put his arm around Liv. But then it was like, bro, he was smiling before that. Like, so redo what was happening. Like, that's the only nitpick I have. But I thought everybody did a good job. Pat, he bounced back once he said piece of shit, because it was kind of rough, because it was like he was trying so hard not to curse. And then Michael Cole was like, oh, just say it. I know what you really want to say. Just say it. And then that's when he called him a piece of shit. Like, that made it better for me. Yeah. He was like, I know what you really want to say. Just say. He said, Dom's a piece of shit.
Well done, well done. You know, Pat wasn't the best throughout this night, but this was great stuff. How they sold the Dom betrayal, and we got Bala B, who's a man of honor. He can admit when he was wrong. He says, "Okay, I'll say it. I did it on the watch along, but I'll say it here too. I was wrong. This match exceeded expectation. Still don't care for this plot. I can understand this. The story is not for everyone, but you can't deny when the two ladies deliver in the opener here. Like I said, a very entertaining match, a very good match between the two. And then the angle and execution was so well done. And I love it that it mirrored how Dom accidentally helped Liv get the win at King and Queen of the Ring against Becky Lynch. It very much mirrored this time, but this time he did it on purpose. And you could tell, if you're watching the show, you could tell the way he did it. He signaled to Liv. He does like this. When he gets on the apron, he's like telling her, like, go hit it again. So I love how this was executed. It was really well done. We got Eric Isaac who says the kiss heard around the world. We also got Bala B who says live sex celebration on Raw. I am here for it. I am here for it. They very much, Dom and Liv have very much Edge and Lita vibes. I will give them that. What do you think?
A little bit, not too much. Just
well,
because
of course, Dom's not as good as Edge and Liv.
I mean, as in like even the overall like aspect of it, because like you know, Edge and Lita, they did cross a lot of lines, cross a lot of boundaries when it comes to certain things. If they do that, then I think it'll be on the same level. I think certain things that would need to be done that is like, yeah, this is very Edge and Lita. But I can see a little bit too, like the vibes of it because of how they got together. And, you know, Dom finally got promoted from being a simp to being somebody's bitch. So it's great to see.
There you go. It's all about progression, folks. But I love how this angle at the beginning, it very much played out throughout the night, because immediately our next segment after a few commercials, of course, it's a WWE PLE at this point, we can expect the commercials. A pissed off Damian Priest busts into the Judgment Day clubhouse, demanding to know where Dom was. He puts his hands on Finn Balor, asking him if he knew this was coming. Balor was offended and said no. They talked Priest down, telling him he has to get ready, but he was still hot and he wanted to know where Dom was so he can kill him. Balor, McDonough, and Carlito left to find Dom, and Balor says thanks for the trust before leaving, and Priest seemed to regret treating Balor this way. So we would get a follow-up to that later in the night. I like how this locker room scene really set the stage on what we would see later on the night.
Yeah, and I kind of figured that was going to happen because I kind of alluded to it yesterday on the podcast when I was like, yeah, Dom turns, and I think the rest of them minus Damian Priest are going to probably follow suit, and that's exactly what happened.
We got Zach, who was very high on the show. Damn, he says SummerSlam was 9.5 out of 10. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. One salute and a heart, or a heart, or a circle. So there we go. We got high praise there. We got Annika, who says, "I need to see Terminator Rhea on Raw." I mean, I think Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest are going to be pissed on Monday Night Raw. It's good. Monday Night Raw this week is going to be all about the Judgment Day after this show.
It has to be. That's the main. That's the like one of the main angles on Raw. So that's what you run with. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, because remember, technically it was Finn that turned. So now the rest of the group just got to do it. It got to be who is it? McDonough and Carlito. So the rest of the group has to do it to solidify it.
Yeah, Carlito can officially join the group now since they're down 2 members. Next up, we get the Intercontinental Championship matchup. Sami Zayn defends against Braun Breaker. Braun immediately, as the bell rings, he goes for the spear, but Sami is able to leapfrog over, and Braun goes shoulder first into the ring post. Zayn follows up with a flip dive to the outside. Braun dodges an Aluva kick. He tries for a press slam, but his shoulder gave out as after hitting the ring post. Braun managed to turn Zayn around with a clothesline, but then we get Braun. Zayn fights back. He goes to the second rope, and he tries to go for a dive, but Braun's able to do the run up Breakensteiner for a 2 count. Braun starts talking trash as Zayn smacks him with a big clothesline. Braun blocks a Blue Thunder Bomb. He counters with a back body drop. Braun then tries to go for his Rick Steiner flying bulldog, but Zayn counters into a Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2. He hits the exploder into the turnbuckles. He goes to the other side of the ring for the Haluva kick, but Braun catches him with a spear. Braun then gets hyped up. He runs the ropes full speed and hits a second spear. 1, 2, 3. Braun Breaker is your new Intercontinental Champion. This match went just under 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 42 seconds. So definitely by far the shortest match of the night. But I felt like it was exactly what it needed to be last month. This title change felt very much 1 month late on it. I think they had a better matchup with more time in Toronto at Money in the Bank, but this is what it should have been from the very beginning. Should be Braun wiping through Sami Zayn to become the new Intercontinental Champion, and it brings a fresh face, from the NXT roster who just got his official call up after WrestleMania, his first championship gold on the main roster. Braun is a future top guy, but the match itself wasn't much to write home about. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. What did you think?
I mean, like you said, the match was just short. I think that's all it was for me. It was just way too short. I thought it was just me. I thought I was just bugging. I thought both guys could have done more because the first match did more. So that's why I was like, all right, I look forward to this. And then when it kind of just ended abruptly, I was like, oh, all right, that's where they went. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just wish it was a little bit longer, but it just kind of felt like a showcase for Braun. I kind of understand why they did it the second time. I think, they wanted Sami to have at least a little bit more time with the title, but then, like him getting that W against Braun, I think needed to be done because, since he beat Gunther, you want him to have some kind of you want him to solidify his run. And I think by him beating Braun the first time, I think that was good. So him losing to Braun this time, I don't think necessarily hurt Sami because I think this was his best IC type run by far that he's ever had. So the right guy won. They did some nice stuff in the match. I just wish it was longer. That's the only downside of it.
Yeah, if this was 5 minutes longer, it definitely would have been a better matchup. We got that. I think that's why Emmanuel earlier said it was the worst match of the night. He says their Money in the Bank match was decent, but it could go up another gear. This match didn't even get close to that. What was this? It was only 6 minutes. I think that's the best they could do with 6 minutes. It was decent for 6 minutes, but it's still 6 minutes. So I understand.
It was just short. Yeah. It was short. It was just short.
Yeah, it was just short. I don't think it was a bad match by any means.
And I tell people that all the time. I tell people this because, yesterday what happened was that I made a post, right? So I made a post about the main event, right? And somebody's trying to tell me about WWE is about moments, is about this, about that. I'm like, yo, I ain't talking about the moments. I'm talking about the match itself. If the match was bad, the match is fucking bad. Let's just call it like it is. I don't give a I'm not talking about the wrestling moves that are being done. I'm not talking about this. If a match is overall bad, it's just a bad match. That's just what it is. So then he tries to break down the time of each match or whatever. I'm I don't know why he's arguing with me about this because I said the start match was bad. I said the main event was bad. And I brought this match up, for example, and I was just like, I felt better watching this match than I did the main event.
Yo,
I was like, that's just
100%. 100%.
And
Because
that's how I felt.
I'm just telling you my preference here. I will take a fine paint by the numbers 6-minute match over a fine paint by the numbers 30-minute main event. I'm sorry, that's way too much time for a matchup that if you cut it by 10 minutes, it's a better match. Like you can't cut this for time. This time you could have took some time from that main event to give to this match, and this match would have been better. You take time from the main event, that would have been better. So I think that the time of a 6-minute match, I think that if you really want to break it down, both matches are probably going to get the same rating for me, star rating wise. But I will go back and watch Braun and Sammy before I ever go back and watch the main event of this show. I will watch the last 5 minutes of the main event of this show, but I'm not watching this 30-minute matchup again.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I said that, and then he kind of like backed out after I said that because he probably figured like, yeah, I made a good point. There's no argument because I'm like, I ain't trying to argue about the time. I was like, that was never my argument. My argument was that the match was not good to me. And they just brought up some like other thing. I'm like, but that's not what I'm talking about. I was just like, this shit was just bad. You could have a 30-minute match. I mean, how many times have we seen 30-minute matches that became absolute classics, right? I was like, it has nothing to do with that. It's just, it's all about chemistry and what they fucking do in the match. Sometimes guys are off. Like, people have off nights. And I'm like, if that's the case, then the match is just bad. When it comes to Sammy and Braun, realistically, I don't think it was a bad match. The match was just too fucking short. Like, that's just all it was. It was just too fucking short.
And that's something that's out of their control. That's not
can do nothing much.
That's not anything against their ability in the ring.
Braun looked good.
They were of the perfect ability for that matchup.
And I told you this for a fact.
Our main event had someone that clearly looked out of place in that spot.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, like, that match, that 6-minute match did more for Braun that I could say, all right, he could be a main event guy in the future in 6 minutes than the main event did for Solo in 30 minutes.
This is what it is. But we got to show some love and some support for our good brother, call me Mr. Bonda. Thank you so much for becoming our newest member of the channel. You guys, thank you, man. Mr. Bonda, I've been seeing you in the chat. You've been showing your support. You send super chats before. Been seeing you so often, so I appreciate you coming on board and becoming a regular member of the channel here. And he says, for the dogs. Appreciate you, good sir. You the big dog now. Appreciate you, Bonda. Call him Mr. Bonda Dog. We appreciate you, good sir. Join the crew. We also got LeVay in the chat, one of our other members. He says, you're on. On. Yes, indeed. You know how the deal is, LeVay. We hear all the time, bro. We got Dustin who says, the whole show was very predictable. And surprisingly, the best match was the U.S. title match to him, in his opinion. And I think that's a mark of a good show is that you'll hear, I think that everybody in the chat, if you want to kind of say throughout the chat what you thought was the best match of the show, I think we'll get different answers because it was a good show that had multiple different matches that people will say, that was my favorite. That was my favorite. That was the match of the night. That was the match of the night. That's a mark of a good show, in my opinion. We got Big Man Dogs in the chat. He says, I have seen people complain about Braun looking weak losing to Sammy and then complain that Braun now beat Sammy too fast in order to make him look strong. Yeah, it's like I think that everybody else in the chat is making good points. Like if you were going to do a squash match, it should have been the first match. That's a better point than saying, oh, he looked weak losing to Sammy at Money in the Bank, and now you're complaining that he beat him too fast. Like, it's either one or the other. It's either one or the other. I think that you could say that, oh no, Braun should have definitely done this in the first match more than you can like complain about both matches for making them look weak in one and making them look too strong in the other.
Yeah, I think what it was too is that like my because remember when we're doing predictions, I did say Sammy was going to win that match, and the way I looked at it was that they're going to have a great match, and then Sammy was going to win by experience. He was going to use like his experience to win the match, and that's what happened. Because remember, they did this with Braun before in NXT. He lost his first matchup with Tommaso Ciampa because of inexperience. He lost it not because he looked weak. It was because they exposed his inexperience. And this is what in the first matchup, this is what they kind of did. And all the second matchup did was that it kind of showed that he was focused and he was not going to fuck around, and then he was going to go full throttle. And that's what he did. Again, the only negative was that the match was short. That's it. And that's not in their control. But I think the people that complain that made him look weak, I don't think the match made him look weak. Like, and that's just a weird aspect because he lost. I don't think it makes you look weak. I think it makes you look weak if you look like complete shit. Then you lose. I think that's what makes you look weak. And even that first matchup, that Braun didn't look like shit. He looked good in that match. And
like
something
me,
I did
me
say,
personally, I was not happy that Braun lost the first match.
Yeah.
Because I knew that Braun is the next Intercontinental Champion. So you should have just pulled the trigger on the first matchup. That was my point. Why I complained about that first matchup. I didn't say Braun looked weak. I'm just saying you did the whole
but I think that's a better argument.
You did a whole path of destruction for him, and then he trips up at the biggest hurdle. Like, come on, you know you're gonna crown him, so just crown him.
Yeah, and I think that's a better argument to have. Like, I was like, hey, like this first, like that's a better argument than the argument of, oh, he looks weak, because again, I don't think he looked weak. I just think that was the direction they were going, and this is something that I just said that it was gonna happen, and it did happen. I was just like, yeah, they're gonna fucking show that the fucking veteran guy is gonna win the first matchup, and the second matchup he's probably gonna win it at SummerSlam, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I'm not saying like, yeah, that's the route they should go, but I do agree with like, if that was the case, then yeah, he probably should have won the first matchup. But I don't know. I know how WWE is, and they're not gonna. It's like it's WWE, guys. They're not gonna. What do you expect them to do?
Triple H loves to draw shit out. Loves to draw this shit out. But
that's exactly what he did. He drew it out. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah. Let's talk about the next matchup on the card. You had Logan Paul defending the United States Championship against LA Knight. Yeah. And Paul comes out with Cleveland's own MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, who showed up in a hoodie and security shirt as a surprise. He entered with Logan Paul. It's like, I let out all my fury on Logan Paul during the flagship podcast, so I'm able to be unbiased here. But fuck him. LA Knight arrived backstage in Paul's Prime Mobile. Knight destroyed the driver's side window because of poor visibility. Safety first. Good on him. Paul was booed heavily in his hometown. He attacked LA Knight right before the bell as he was making his entrance. Knight fought back. They had a pre-match fight around ringside by the commentary table. Knight getting into the face of Logan's crew in the front row. Paul spat a prime drink in his face. Knight repeatedly smashed Paul's face against the commentary desk, but the camera work in this matchup was fucking awful. It was not as bad the rest of the night, but in this particular match, like when Knight is slamming Logan's head into the announce table, they went to the camera angle right behind the announce table, which you could obviously see Logan's head is not even going close to the announce table. I was like, what the fuck is going on? He slams a prime bottle in Paul's face. He then gets him up onto the table. He hits a torture rack into a net breaker on the table. The table does not break. That looked like it hurt both guys. They rolled into the ring to officially start the matchup. We get a nice little "fuck you, Logan" chant from the crowd as he took control. For the third matchup in a row, we get somebody who went shoulder first into the ring post or buckle. Knight was the victim this time. they really need to agent their matches better. I hear this all the time about AEW, but no one wants to mention about WWE. But I feel like every matchup on this card had someone going into the ring post or the buckle to hurt their shoulder. It was weird. It was very weird. Knight flies back, repeatedly boots Paul to the sound of "yeah." He hits a Matt Hardy side effect and hits a step, crazy looking. He went from the middle rope to the top rope, step up, diving elbow drop on Paul for a 2 count. Paul comes back, showing his athleticism. He hits a springboard clothesline, and then when Knight goes to the floor, he hits an impressive-looking springboard moonsault to the floor. Paul followed up with a right hand for a near fall. With Paul on top, Knight leaped up and hit a big, oh man, this superplex, which was really like an avalanche brain buster. Oh my God. It looked like he was about to break this dude's neck. Please, please, please do that. Please do it again. Paul rakes his eyes, which the referee did not see, but then Knight came back with a baseball slide. Some of Paul's buddies were talking trash tonight, so he flips them over the barricade. He starts putting the boots to them. Paul slams Knight into the ring post. He then grabs brass knuckles from around the neck of MGK. He gets onto the apron. Knight tries to suplex him back in, but Paul hits him in the head with the brass knuckles. He tries to go for a buckshot lariat, but Knight is able to duck the lariat. He basically no-sells the brass knuck shot and then hits the BFT for the win. 1, 2, 3. LA Knight is your new United States champion in a very fun matchup. The crowd exploded when Knight hit the BFT and got the 1, 2, 3 to get the victory here. You had a very popular babyface versus a very hated heel, and LA Knight ends the 273-day reign of Logan Paul to finally become champion for the first time on the main roster. This was a huge moment in a very fun matchup, and arguably LA Knight's best match since coming to the main roster, or probably his best match in WWE. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. Really good work from both guys here. Executed this match very well. What did you think?
I agree. I think this was actually LA Knight's best match that I've seen. Like even probably based even from Impact. Going back to Impact, I think this was like his best performance. This was one match I was kind of like interested in because again, LA Knight has more of a safer style. Like his style of wrestling isn't like it's not over top, it's not overbearing, but he gets the job done. That's basically his style of wrestling. Where Logan Paul does a lot of like athletics, he relies on athleticism. That's mainly what he relies on, because even like the psychology stuff based on the ring, he's not that good at. So that's why I was more interested to see like, oh, all right, like these are 2 different styles. Let's see how these guys work. And it ended up being a very entertaining match. Both guys did things that were great. That fucking springboard moonsault he did, Logan Paul, I'll give him credit for that. Like that was insane.
That was clean.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that. Like from the not only jump up, but like the way he turns while jumping and then doing that. And that's why it's frustrating to watch Logan Paul, because I'm like, yo, this guy is obviously super talented, but then he's just a piece of shit. So it's kind of just like hard to like it's really hard for me to like give him props fully, but it's like, I mean, if his fucking personality was on the same level as his wrestling, he'll be a decent person. But I'm glad he lost. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he lost. Like, and even that brain, I call it a brain buster because that's what that shit almost looked like. It looked like a fucking break from the top row. I give props to LA Knight for saving him on that, because if you see that, he fucking saved his ass, because if LA Knight doesn't land on his back first, that man breaks his neck. I'm telling you. So I thought like, even though like that spot, it was very choppy. Like you could see like that wasn't supposed to happen, but LA Knight, being the veteran that he is, he protected Logan in that situation. So I give him props for that. Like that's just LA Knight being a veteran, looking out for his opponent. that's obviously what he has to do no matter what. But again, the right guy won. He finally gets something going on for him. LA Knight, like this is something that people kind of been waiting for. Then now going forward, it's going to be a matter of what he does with the title. You know what I mean? Like people could be excited, people could be happy for him, but then it's like, what's going to happen next? Like how they're going to present him as a champion. Is it going to be just like nothing run or something that means something? And I think LA Knight could bring some value to that title. Like he could do something with that title. So that's what I look forward to as well going forward.
Yeah, I think that the fact that LA Knight is going to be there every week is a benefit to the United States Championship, because I think it was a good idea at first to put the title on Logan Paul because of, he has a name outside of the company. He just didn't defend it. It just didn't defend it, and we've been through that with the freaking world titles with Brock Lesnar, with Roman Reigns. But like to have it with the mid-card title, which has always been around, it just sometimes I forgot that he was the champion. It really made the title forgettable after, and especially because he won it at the tail end of Gunther's run, where Gunther was basically defending the title all the time, building prestige. It was like the prestige or any work that had been done with the U.S. title went down month by month with Logan having that title, and then he capped it off with this weekend being a fucking idiot. So there you have it.
No, but not only that, but in commentary they kind of like mentioned that. Like they were trying to give him props about like his title reign, but then they're like, oh, like he only had like a few defenses. Like they kind of like did mention that, like he only had a few defenses.
No, they were crapping on the title reign throughout the matchup, and then Michael Cole, when LA Knight wins, it's like, oh, let's give it up for Logan Paul. He had an impressive title reign. It's like, what is it, nigga?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like during the match, like before he was coming, they're like, "Oh yeah, he only had a few defenses." Like they alluded to that.
Two defenses in 273 days.
Yeah, like they mentioned it like a little bit, but then they're like trying to give him props. I was like, "What?" Like because remember like who was it that had the title for like 6 months or like almost a year, and he only defended it once? Was it Dean Ambrose? John Moxley? Like was it him?
I think way back. I mean, AEW is victims of that too, though. Like ROH, you had Billy Starks, who won the title in April and only defended it once. And when she defended it at Death Before Dishonor, 3 months later she lost. And then you got the Young Bucks, who won the titles at Dynasty in April and still haven't defended the title. And they'll probably lose it at Wembley Stadium. So
yeah, I mean, they're victims of that too. I just think that because it's WWE, they usually don't do this with their mid-card titles, and I think WWE has more of a history of putting the titles, like the mid-card titles, on guys and just not going nowhere, and they only get like these handful of defenses. Because I think Nakamura was the same way. He was the IC champion. People totally forgot. And then it was like, oh, he only defended the title once, and then he ended up just dropping it. Like, so I think they're more victim of that because it's happened often. But yeah, like you said, like AEW has done that themselves too, especially with the tag titles. And I get that they're doing the whole story angle, right, with the elite and stuff like that. But it's like, guys, I know they're the EVPs and they don't gotta work, but the champions, you gotta do something with that.
Yeah, for real. It's like, seriously. We got Chuck Berries with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for that support. He says, even though this was a long time coming for LA Knight, this was the perfect time to send Logan Paul on extended vacation. I can do without seeing his ass for another 6 or 8 months. Yeah, he'll be gone probably until like January. And then he could come back and they'll think, oh yeah, it's all good now. People forgot that he's a dickhead.
Until he does something stupid and he loses his lawsuit against CoffeeZilla. So we'll see what happens.
We shall see. We also got Call Me Mr. Bonda, our newest member, who says that Avalanche Brainbuster, yeah, My match of the night. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people who really enjoyed this matchup and said it was their match of the night. And our good brother Jimmy Maccarim was very happy with what went down in this matchup. And he got back-to-back what he wanted. He got Braun Breaker winning the Intercontinental title. He got LA Knight winning the US title. He was totally convinced at this point of the show. He was like, I'm not gonna be happy 3 times. He's like, Gunther isn't gonna win. he was completely convinced at this point of the show.
It's like, well, not so fast, buddy. We're like, not so fast, buddy. We're gonna keep making you happy.
Not so fast. John Christoph, he says, hi, everyone. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us today. Drop the thumbs up. Show your support. But yes, good stuff here. Like I said, I gave the match 3 3/4 stars. And like I said, I thought it was LA Knight's best match, especially on the main roster. But next up, you had the WWE Women's Championship. Before that, there was a Manscaped sponsored segment where we saw Apollo Crews using Manscaped to shave his head, I think, and Baron Corbin joined him. And then Otis and Maxine Dupree and Akira Tozawa. Crews used the razor to shave his head, and Otis used it to shave his belly. I think Manscaped is for your balls, guys. Just want to let you know. But anyway, we had Bayley defending the WWE Women's Championship against the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. Early on, you had Bayley trying to take the fight to Jax, but Jax took her down with a Samoan drop to take over. Jax hit a big elbow drop. Her offense also included a sting face, but Bayley quickly responded with a back suplex. Jax missed a leg drop on the apron, and Bayley responded later with a guillotine, a nice little callback to their matchup at NXT TakeOver London. There was little callbacks to their previous matches throughout this match, which I enjoyed. The announcers reminded us that she once beat Jax with the guillotine in the past. Jax countered this time and hit a senton, which I was like, wow, I've never seen Nia do a senton. Then she did a leg drop, a flipping senton, by the way, not a regular, just throw my body up and down, a flipping senton by Nia. Then she followed up with a leg drop for a 2. Nia went for a diving leg drop, but she just went up the rope so weirdly. Like she went over the rope and then to the second rope, and it took too much time. So she misses the diving leg drop. Bayley responds with the Bayley to belly for a 2 count. At this point, I was messaging Jimmy Maccaram. I was like, thank God Bayley changed her finisher from the Bayley to belly, because that's never looked effective, especially on someone like Nia. Bayley tried a corner tackle, but once again, we get her hitting the turnbuckle. This is like the fucking 4 for 4. In 4 matches, we've seen the same spot. But Jax then hits an STO. Jax followed up with the Annihilator, but Bayley kicked out, and I was very surprised by that. Jax was shocked herself. Bayley dodged a charge, and then once again, you get Nia, who goes shoulder first into the ring post. I was like, God damn, I'm sick of seeing this spot. Bayley tried for a tope suicida, and Jax catches her, hits a Samoan drop on the floor. Jax went to the middle rope, but Bayley got under her, and this really got the crowd into this matchup. Bayley showing her strength and walks and hits a running power bomb on Nia Jax. That really woke up the crowd, who was kind of dead throughout the early portion of this David versus Goliath battle. They're chanting holy shit at this point. Bayley goes to the top rope and hits a diving elbow drop, but Nia's able to kick out. At this point, the music of Tiffany Stratton hits. She runs down to the ring with her new Money in the Bank briefcase and a referee, but Bayley knocks her off of the apron. The distraction allows Jax to hit a consecutive power bombs. The last one was like a jackknife, where she sent Bayley a couple of feet away from her into the corner. She drags her over to the corner, and then she hits another Annihilator. She gets up and says, no, I'm going to hit 3. And she goes up to the second rope again and hits a third Annihilator. So back-to-back Annihilators. 1, 2, 3. Nia Jax, the Queen of the Ring, is now the WWE Women's Champion. Nia and Tiffany happily celebrate together. So Stratton's attempted cash-in was all just a ruse to dupe and distract Bayley, which allows Nia Jax to become the new champion. On the outside, Nia hugs her mom, and then she hugs Ata Johnson, the mother of The Rock, who helped her get into the business. This felt like a triumphant moment for Nia here. The first half of the matchup was merely building, but I felt like after the powerbomb spot, the crowd really got into this, and it got really good. Loved the chaos, the excitement that came with Tiffany Stratton's fake cash-in as well. So I thought the second half of this matchup was really good. Overall, I gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed this David versus Goliath battle. Josh, what did you think?
I thought the match was better than a lot of people were saying. Cause I know when people were like trying to say which one was the worst match or like which match was like disappointing, some people were saying this match, and I was just like, I was like, I don't know about that one, Chief. I thought the match was presentable. I thought it was good. Like, it started maybe a little bit slow, but then the crowd was kind of quiet. But then they got into it once that powerbomb spot happened. Then it was like the focus changed. The Tiffany thing was great. It made Bayley look good. Like, it made her look strong because it took 3 annihilators to beat her, and it took a distraction. So, I mean, they tried to do what they did with Bayley, but it was just, I think when it comes to Bayley, it's just the overall run where it kind of just feels like she was in the back burner. They gave her a title, cool, after Mania, but then it was like, yeah, and I feel bad for her because I think she's better than what they've been presenting. But Nia was the right person to get the title. I thought if you're going to do it now. I think yesterday I did pick Bayley because I thought like some fuckery was going to happen, which some fuckery did happen. It just didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. But I was fine with Nia winning. Again, this is the best she's looked. As far as somebody that has been critical on her, she's gotten better. She seems more motivated than ever, which is a good thing. And, this is probably one of Triple H's best re-signings, right? Or the best, depending on how you look at it. This solidifies it. So overall, match was good. I thought it was good. I don't see what people were saying, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't get the people that were kind of upset with that. So it was just weird. I thought it was smartly worked by both women here. Bayley kind of showing her poise, and I agree with the chat and you that it kind of upset that Bayley got this run. She really got forgotten after WrestleMania. She had the great match in France with Tiffany and Naomi, and then they kind of put her on the back burner for the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. Then they gave her kind of a very forgettable kind of rivalry with Piper Niven, which was just to get Piper Niven a matchup in Scotland. And the matchup wasn't one of the better ones on the night. And then it immediately went into the Nia matchup, which was more about the Nia and Tiffany relationship more than it was about Bayley. So I agree with Emmanuel here. He says they booked her title reign terribly. Yeah, it felt more or less like a lifetime achievement award. It felt like, thanks, Bayley, for holding us down during the pandemic. Thanks, Bayley, for creating Damage Control and making a star out of Io Sky and Dakota Kai. Thanks, Bayley, for all your contributions over the last decade. More than it was, this title reign could have been so much more and could have solidified Bayley. It wouldn't probably be her best reign. I think her best reign was during the pandemic when she held the title for over 365 days. But it could have been a reign where you finally give Bayley a good reign as a babyface, and they just
kind of like Sami Zayn. I think if they would have gone like the Sami Zayn route when it came to Sami Zayn's current IC title run. If he would have done something like that, then I think it would have benefited her a lot. But so I mean, it's unfortunate because even besides the title run, if you look at it, when she won the Royal Rumble, it was like she was saying, "Oh, fuck me then too," right? Huh? Like, fuck me then, because even like you see the promotions, you see the WrestleMania, she wasn't on the posters. Like she wasn't being promoted. She wasn't on the posters. And I think some people kind of like, even though as much as I was like, I felt bad for Bayley, I think some people were trying to push the fact like, oh, let Io and Bayley main event night 1. I was like, that's not happening no matter what. I was like, they're not going past the Rock. Come on.
And even if there was going to be a women's main event, it was going to be Becky and Rhea.
Like, yeah, it was going to be Becky
and Rhea. It was not
going
to be Bayley and Io.
Yeah, but because it was the Rock, you ain't putting Rock in the opening match. You ain't putting him in the middle of the card. He's getting a main event spot. So like even I think it's like when you see like the whole thing, the whole 2024 Bayley, she won the Royal Rumble, and you wouldn't even know that she won the Royal until like you look it up. Oh, Bayley won it. Oh, all right. Like that's how like unmemorable like they've booked her to be, and it's kind of fucked up because I'm just like, she's your like when it comes to the 4 horsewomen, she's the active one. She's the one that's working in WWE because the other one is in AEW. One hasn't re-signed and she might retire, and the other one's injured. She has a torn knee. Like, you know, she's the only horsewoman in WWE working, and this is, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's just, you know, again, Nia, that was the right move to go with Nia winning, but it was like on the expense of Bayley's mid title run. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel like Nia earned this opportunity. Like you said, I've been saying it for months. She is the best re-signing of the Triple H era, and she's had a better run this run than her entire multi-years that she had before. It's been great to see her like improve in the ring, not hurt anybody, be a reliable kind of monster for the division. And also the reason why I called Nia getting the win here is that we're finally going to get a new story with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And it's the story that I suggested last year when Damian Priest was Money in the Bank holder. I suggested Finn Balor win the world championship so we can have the Money in the Bank holder and the world champion in the same group together, associated with each other, because that's a story we have not ever seen. I actually called this 2 years ago. If y'all been watching the channel for a while, I said Sami Zayn back in 2022 when Austin Theory won Money in the Bank. He should have won Money in the Bank when he was trying to join in the Bloodline. So you would have had the Money in the Bank holder and Roman Reigns in the same faction together. That was going to be entertaining. But if they couldn't do those two, I'm glad we're getting it here with Nia being associated with Tiffany having the new Money in the Bank briefcase, and Nia being the champion.
Yeah, I mean, I also like it too because, I mean, Tiffany, I mean, she is a fresh face. She is fairly new. So if you want somebody who's going to cash in to get her first title run to be that, I think this is the best route to go. They could have done that last year with Judgment Day, but then once I saw how they were using Finn, I was like, yeah, Finn ain't shit at this point. Like, so there was no hope for me when it came to Finn.
Unfortunately, you were right there. We got Mr. Bunda, who says, I'm calling it now. Tiffany Stratton will cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase at the Royal Rumble / Elimination Chamber like Edge. I could see that. They're gonna have her hold it for a while because they can sell some merch with the briefcase.
Yeah, I don't see that happening at Elimination Chamber. I think maybe Rumble. I would say Rumble maybe, but I think it depends on where the storylines go. Because if Nia has a good, nice, dominant run, she could keep going to Mania. Fuck it. Like, if this is what the route they want to go, I wouldn't mind that. Like, you know, if she looks dominant, fuck it. You have another Samoan family member to get another longer title reign. Fuck it, right?
Yeah. Or they can do it where she's the queen of the ring and WWE Women's Champion, who's also a queen, who might be coming back soon. That might be the big money matchup to try to run either the end of this year, like Survivor Series, or beginning of next year, Royal Rumble, or even WrestleMania. Charlotte goes after Nia for the championship. Charlotte wins, and then Tiffany cashes in on Charlotte. Because we know everyone cashes in on Charlotte Flair at least once.
Yeah. Well, I think Robbie knows that. I think he's too familiar with that at this point.
We got Mr. Bonda who says, Phil and Red, shout out to the Grab City boys. Yo, check those guys out. Always supporting Grab City. Phil's been on the channel for, it's like before even Grab City and Red we've had on the channel a couple of times. Love those guys over there. He says they suggested Bayley and Naomi versus Belair and Cargill for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship to close the year. That's a great point because they kind of started the whole story of Bianca still holding a grudge against Bayley earlier this year, right before Backlash, about, you know, Bayley's been babyface, but Belair was like the real victim of the Bayley-led Damage Control, and they never followed up on that rivalry. And I would love for them to follow up with that rivalry and maybe even build to, you know, Bayley and her animosity towards Bayley being the catalyst to turn Bianca heel. I could see that. That would work with me. So I wouldn't mind that at all. But we need Bianca and Jade to win back the tag team titles first to do that. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's why I'm like me is more like, how the fuck would they get there? Because they did lose their match, but I don't know. Like, I mean, technically didn't lose. It was disqualification, which I just thought it was a waste of time on SmackDown. So it's just a matter of what they do, like what they put the tag team titles on them again. Maybe. Even though I'm like, they probably shouldn't have lost it in the first place, to tell you the truth. So it's just a matter of how they get back to that route.
Did it for a one-night pop. We got Ominous Waves. First time I'm seeing you in the chat here, so welcome. He says, this was a good move creative-wise after they wasted Bayley's entire title run. Honestly thinking she should find her way out of this territory and move on. I don't see that. Bayley's way too loyal, Ominous. He also says, Kathy Kelly, #1 Triple H re-signing Nia, a close second. So we could agree Nia's the best re-signing of a wrestler. So at least we can be on the same page there. But Ominous also says it's just crazy seeing that Bayley drove the vehicle for Triple H's first real storyline after he took over creative. To see how it ended up is sad. It just ended up being a Lifetime Achievement Award, which, I mean, I think Bayley's a team player. She's fine with it, but I just wanted more for Bayley. I've been saying it. You and Josh knows. Me and Josh can agree on that on the Flagship podcast. I've been saying it for months that Bayley deserved better than this. I felt like they forgot about her after WrestleMania. Like, there was a period of time I would watch SmackDown. I do the review every week on Sportskeeda Wrestle Binge, and I'm like, every time Bayley shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, she is the WWE Women's Champion. Thanks for reminding me. I keep forgetting because y'all don't do anything with her. And then finally, to cap things off before we get into the next matchup, we got a super chat donation once again from Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for showing your support. He says, once again, Bayley put someone else over, but Nia truly deserved to be put over in this case. 1,000%. Nia earned this title reign for sure with the good work as a character, good work in the ring. Nia deserves to have her run as well. So, and Seth echoes that, saying she definitely earns it. Yep, agreed. All right. It is now time, Josh, to talk about the match you alluded to earlier as your favorite from the show. It was time for Drew McIntyre going one-on-one with CM Punk. Seth freaking Rollins was our special guest referee. He wore very sparkly pants with a somewhat sparkly referee shirt. McIntyre wore new black and green gear. His black gear should be noted when he came out for the entrance. It had spikes very similar to the wristbands that The Undertaker wore in 1997. And then you also had CM Punk, who wore black and pink. And I literally, at the start of this matchup, I tweeted out and I messaged Jimmy Baccaram. I was like, Punk is wearing black and pink. Drew is wearing mostly black. You got Seth Rollins with a cut off a sleeve referee shirt. I was like, they're totally doing the SummerSlam 1997. But this matchup was told a very kind of fluent story. Like, early on, you get Both guys coming out. We should be noted that the first matchup of the night had, they told us that the referees would be wearing a referee cam, but apparently during this matchup, the referee cam died on Seth Rollins, so he just took it off. He said, fuck it. Then we get, as the bell rings, Seth rings the bell. I love the fact that Punk and Drew just immediately just started slugging it out. No lockup. They just started exchanging blows like they were Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Punk got the better of it, booting Drew in the corner for more than 5 seconds until Rollins has to pull him away. McIntyre returned the favor until Rollins had to pull him away. Punk was the aggressor from there. The fight spilled to the outside. Rollins didn't even care about counting. He goes up on the top rope and starts laying down casually. Punk starts slamming Drew's head into the steel steps, and Seth's tying his shoes so he doesn't see. Punk was in full control until McIntyre swept his leg out from under him, as Punk did to him during WrestleMania, but the announcers did not mention that. That was a cool touch. McIntyre swung Punk repeatedly into the announce table, and Punk tried to use his injured arm to protect himself. He drove Punk into the steel ring frame as well. I was like, you can't be doing stuff with that like Punk. You might get injured. McIntyre hits a vertical suplex, and Punk kicks out before an even a count of one. Seth was very lackadaisical with counting pinfalls early on in this matchup. But Rollins not counting right away because he didn't want to rip his pants, so I understand. Rollins was surprised McIntyre even went for a cover early. He was like, beat his ass. McIntyre hit an overhead suplex, but Punk kicks out before the 1 count again. McIntyre hit a power bomb for a 1 count, but then he followed up with a sit-out power bomb. This one got a 2 count. McIntyre grabbed a steel chair from ringside. He advised Rollins to look the other way. He was like, we can take this business to the next level. Let me just take him out. Let me get rid of him. He can make both of their problems go away. McIntyre tried to use the chair, but Rollins pulls it away. Rollins says, you're not going to do it this way. McIntyre basically, and this at this point, Cole says, shades of 97. McIntyre pushes Seth in the face. Seth goes to swing the chair, but Punk basically ducks, and Seth holds up on the steel chair shot. At this point, Rollins then throws the steel chair to ringside. Punk uses that to get a roll-up, but Rollins was too late to make the cover. At this point, Punk was getting upset with Seth, but this would only be the start of it. McIntyre went for a big Claymore, but Punk was able to catch him with a leg lariat. Punk did his usual comeback. He blew a kiss to Rollins as he hit an awful-looking diving elbow drop for a 2 count. Punk then applied the Anaconda Vice as before Drew went for the Claymore. He pulled out the bracelet, the friendship bracelet that a fan made for him with his family name of his dog Larry and his wife AJ. So when Punk gets the Anaconda Vice on, he becomes obsessed with the bracelet. He pulls it off of Drew. He puts it on himself. He tries to put it on himself, but he drops the bracelet. Punk went to pick it up, but the extra time allowed McIntyre to hit a big Claymore kick for a near fall as Punk kicked out. For the 5th match in a row, someone went in shoulder first into the ring post. I was like, dear God, does anybody fucking care that this has happened in 5 straight matches backstage? Maybe y'all should edit the next 2 matches so we don't get the same spot. This allows Punk to get in control. He goes for the go to sleep. He signals for it. He picks Drew up, but then he becomes distracted because as Punk had the bracelet in his hands, when he gets hit with the Claymore, he drops the bracelet. So Seth Rollins, being the referee, wants the bracelet out the way, doesn't want this to be a factor. So instead of putting it in his pocket or throwing it to ringside, he puts the bracelet on so he could give it to Punk later. But Punk becomes obsessed with the bracelet. He puts McIntyre down. He starts saying that Rollins is basically fucking with him wearing the bracelet. Rollins tries to explain that he was just holding on to it for now, but Punk didn't care. McIntyre clobbered both Punk and Rollins from behind. But when McIntyre tries to go for the Future Shock DDT, the same move that injured Punk at the Royal Rumble, Punk is able to reverse it. He hits the go to sleep, but Rollins was out in the ring. Rollins eventually goes to make the cover, but Drew kicks out. Punk is pissed at this point for the slow count and for Seth getting so slow into the count in general. Rollins, though, is pissed off at Punk. He starts screaming at him. He cuts a fucking full-on promo. He says, not everything's about you. I'm the law here. Like, what are you talking about? You don't even belong in my company. Yo, I was loving this. I was like, I love this side of you, Rollins. He told Punk to focus on McIntyre. He says, he's your problem right now. Focus on him. It's not always about you, asshole. Punk basically reacts. He picks Rollins up. He delivers a go to sleep to the referee, Seth Rollins. Punk then responds to Rollins' full-on promo and says, it's not always about me, but it's never about you. He then takes the bracelet off of Seth. He puts it on himself, but all of this leads to Punk going into the corner to try to capitalize on Drew. And Drew responds by getting revenge for Scotland, low-blowing Punk in the same way that Punk low-blowed him at Clash at the Castle. This gives Drew the opportunity to hit the Claymore, the second of the match. He then screams at Seth to make the count, and Seth has no other option than to count the 1, 2, 3 as Drew McIntyre defeats CM Punk. And it's all due to CM Punk screwed CM Punk. His whole ego, his fragile ego, would not allow for anybody else to wear that bracelet. And at the end, I love Drew putting the cherry on top and continuing this rivalry by taking the bracelet off of Punk and putting it back on himself. So he still has that, basically that MacGuffin of this whole kind of piece of CM Punk's whole character work. This was very layered character work. I thought the storytelling in this match was brilliant. It was brilliant stuff. They played with the fact that Seth Rollins was the special guest referee. They played with the bracelet stuff as well to like the nth degree. This had sports entertainment drama to the umpteenth degree. I thought this was one of the best matches on the show. The in-ring work wasn't the greatest, but it was still good. But it was all about the storytelling. I thought the storytelling was top-notch throughout, and that's why I gave it 4.25 stars. To this point, this was my match of the night. What did you think about Seth Rollins, special guest referee, and the CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre match in general? I will say my only nitpick would be, I wish, in retrospect, that the first matchup between Drew and Punk would have been about Drew and Punk instead of setting up what's going to be probably CM Punk's rivalry for the rest of the year, maybe even into WrestleMania with Seth Rollins, because they had built such a great feud of the year for WWE that I just wanted more of that hatred and that grudge match. But I love how the in-ring work and the matchup that we saw at play, you felt the hatred between Drew and Punk, especially Drew. Like he was stiffing Punk a couple of times in this matchup, which I enjoyed. So what did you think about this?
Like I said earlier, it was definitely my match of the night, and I'm sticking with that. Like you said, the match was more storytelling based than like what they were doing in the ring, which I thought the stuff they were doing in the ring was solid. I mean, like I said, wasn't over the top, wasn't nothing crazy, but it was doing its job. And I think for the build up to what we got last night, I thought it was worth it. Like I always like a nice build up and a great matchup, like a great match to go with that build up. And I think both guys delivered, right? And you know, that's why I'm still a CM Punk fan, even though as critical as I've been on Musty Phil, it's more of this whole happy-go-lucky Punk when it comes to WWE. It's like, bro, this ain't you. Like, cut the shit out. I just want you to be the old bitter Punk. That's the CM Punk I know. That's what I want. I don't want none of this PG bullshit I've been seeing from him. That's where I more stand on when it comes to Punk. But I mean, honestly, like last night, you kind of see why he's good at his fucking job. And I think that's why with CM Punk, that's why it's such a weird dynamic when it comes to like fans. Like there's fans who absolutely love him and there's fans who absolutely hate him. But The man is good at his job. He's one of the best at his job, right? And that's how I see it. And his style has always been heavily storytelling based. Like I said earlier, this is what he was doing in AEW, and that's why his matches were so good in AEW, because he had to rely on a lot of things. And this is what he's always done, because even his first matchup with Darby Allin, a lot of people don't know, or they didn't notice, he took a page out of Bret Hart's book. A lot of stuff that he was doing, Bret Hart did it, and there was a match that Bret Hart did, and they did exactly what they were doing, and that's why he was wearing like the Bret Hart stuff, because he loves Bret Hart. I think that's like probably like his number one idol from what I understand. So I could understand, like the gear looked good. I like the gear, and I was like, oh shit, he's paying homage to Bret Hart again. That's part of, like, so like when it comes to like with his storytelling, it's because of Bret Hart. Like he does a lot of stuff because of Bret. As far as the story of like him costing himself, I mean, that was perfect. I'm like, Punk screw Punk. That's how you got to do it. I was like, this fucking idiot. He had the momentum, and then because Seth was helping him out. Seth was helping him out with the bracelet, and yeah, you just got in your feelings because the man was wearing it. He wasn't even like trying to show you up. You just saw it, and the shit got to you again.
Like we as fans watching did not even notice that Rollins had the bracelet on until Punk did.
No, I did. I saw he grabbed it really fast. Yeah. He grabs it really fast.
I didn't even notice it. I didn't even notice it.
So like they're on the ground. So what happens is that when they're on the ground, you legit see Seth Rollins, like he's on his knees. That's where he grabbed it. He gets like, he does it so quick that probably people won't notice it. He goes like this. He grabs it legit, and then he puts it on. Like I saw him do it. So then when Punk notices it, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna play into this hard, and that's what happened. It fucking cost him. I'm like, bro, you got into your head again. Like, I mean, obviously it's all story. It's story based. Like, obviously it's a work, but I mean, anybody that knows Phil's history, this is typical Phil Brooks. So, I mean, they leaned into it hard. They leaned into how he really is. So I think to me, that's what made the match perfect, in my opinion. And the right guy won, even though yesterday I did pick Musty Phil, just because I felt like they're not going to have him lose his first match back. But, that was my fault. And hey, if I'm gonna get a pick wrong, I'm glad it was this match. I'm glad Drew won.
Facts there. Yeah, I thought they did this very well. I was glad that Drew finally got the one up on Punk after getting screwed 3 times this year. Vala B with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Vala B, who is basically echoing my my name, my headline here. Prince, what up? The different dog Prince variant. It's the Prince variant.
He's a Prince variant.
Vala B says, get a new bracelet, dog. I promise you, it won't mean any less than whatever the original one meant. People are more important than things. No, it's a symbol, and it's basically a MacGuffin, a symbol of Punk's whole entire character. He can't let things go. He is bitter, like Josh says, and he can't let things go. It's the little things that gets to him and kind of defines his character. So I love the use of the bracelet, in my opinion, knowing what Phil is like in real life.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, that whole, like, if you really think about it, the whole thing is fucking hilarious. Like, he's upset by a little bracelet, like, he could make. That's what makes the whole thing, like, kind of, like, funny. But then it's like they're leaning into how he really is in real life. And, that's what makes that's what's making this great. And I mean, again, this was one thing I was worried about when it came to Drew, because it was one of those things with Drew. I'm like, all right, when all this momentum goes down, when all this shit goes away from like his rivalry with Punk, what's going to happen with Drew? And I think to this point that it's done so much for Drew that it's just going to help him. Yeah. And I'm happy to see that, because again, like, I've always been high on Drew. I've always been high on him. So and he resigned. So I'm like, hey, you got to do something with the man, and again, like, I think that now I feel comfortable to say, like, yeah, he's a main event kind of guy that they have too, and that's good to see. You want to see more of that, and it only helps Drew more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a power driver finisher. He says it's a symbol that he needs more in life. Yes. He can't let things go. He is just so petty. I love it. Call me Mr. Bonda says, all I'm saying is Drew and Hangman are justified. And he says, yeah, that's what Big E said in the post show. Self-sabotage Phil as usual. Yep. He says he said what he really is. Sometimes you tell the truth to yourself, but you try to do it through others, and that's what Punk did on Monday when he told Drew that he's his own worst enemy. Nigga, that's you. That's you.
Like,
how dare
you know what I mean? Like,
how dare you? How dare you?
Like, it's like, bro, you talking out of all people? Like, what? Like, huh? Like, you really gonna go there, Phil?
Backstage, we get Priest and Balor make amends in the Judgment Day clubhouse. Balor offered to be in his corner if he changed his mind. He just said, just say the word. And Priest appreciated it. And it was pretty much, this was at this time that I was like, oh, he just told Priest that he's going to screw him over. He's turning on him. Thanks. That was nice of him. I don't think Priest got it, but that was nice. They cut to a suite in the Cleveland Browns Stadium that had WWE legends. They didn't name everyone in the suite, but Rick Steiner was there, Scott Steiner, DDP, X-Pac, Kevin Nash, and I believe Jackie Gata as well. So, and Miss Jackie was also there. Yeah, so there you go. WWE legends in the house. And then we had the World Heavyweight Championship matchup. Damian Priest defending against the King of the Ring General, GUNTHER. They had an even matchup for the first few minutes. It was really Priest kind of showing that he can have a hard-hitting style matchup like GUNTHER always specializes in. He was hitting him with hard strikes to the jaw. Priest even busted out a Hurricane Rana. He hit a big like flapjack move. GUNTHER kept trying to go after the arm. They exchanged chops early on that were vicious, but GUNTHER's kind of chops didn't even have that much effect on Priest. Priest started chopping the shit out of GUNTHER to the point that GUNTHER's titty was bleeding. Oh my God. I was like, dude, these guys are going out here with the fucking GUNTHER, Sheamus, beat the shit out of each other energy. Priest drops him. He hits a big Falcon Arrow, only gets a 2 count. Priest drops GUNTHER with a big kick. GUNTHER tries to fight back with chops, but Priest's kicks were too much for him. GUNTHER avoided a stinger splash from Priest, and Priest went face first into what I believe was the ring post. GUNTHER followed with a shotgun drop kick, followed by a powerbomb, only getting a 2. GUNTHER tried to chop the chops again, but Priest responded by hitting a South of Heaven chokeslam out of nowhere, but only got a 2 count. The crowd was distracted themselves with something else, but then decided to pay more attention, and they really got into this matchup. GUNTHER finally blocked one of Priest's kicks and hit a capture suplex. He followed up with a huge lariat and only got a 2. GUNTHER's chops really started to make an impact on Priest. You could see it bruising up his chest at this point. Balor then made his way to ringside to cheer on Priest, and this is when the crowd really got into things because they were like, ooh, something's about to happen. GUNTHER got annoyed with Balor at ringside and booted him in the face. This pissed off Priest so much, who rose to his feet. He dropped the straps, and this place went nuts. They were like as into this as they were into all the drama in Liv versus Rhea. You see the pissed off face. He rises to his feet. He starts hitting big strikes on GUNTHER. He drops him with some hard-hitting consecutive lariats. He then follows up with the Razor's Edge, but GUNTHER gets to his feet. He then hits a huge South of Heaven chokeslam, the second of the matchup. It seemingly Gunther knows what to do. He rose to the ropes, but Priest is able to pin him. 1, 2, and Balor puts Gunther's foot on the ropes to break the cover. The crowd is just like, oh. Priest didn't see what happened, but he's a smart babyface. He turns around to the big screen and he catches the replay. Balor sells this excellently. He turned around and then he lifts his head and he's smiling. Priest goes to go after Balor, but Gunther grabs him up into a sleeper. It looks like he's gonna put him away, but Priest fires up and the crowd explodes again. He breaks out of the sleeper. He even grabs a cradle for a close 2 count. Priest then goes after Balor. He grabs him by the throat as the crowd explodes again. But Gunther catches him all again in another sleeper. He first hits a power bomb and then locked on the sleeper again. Priest tries to fight. The crowd tries to rally behind him, but Priest passes out, and Gunther is your new World Heavyweight Champion in an excellent bout here. Gunther at ringside, he celebrates the win. He kisses his wife Ginny and celebrates on the announce table as he finally wins the World Heavyweight Championship. And this matchup, in my opinion, this made Damian Priest into an overwhelming babyface. This was an excellent matchup. This was a Gunther type of matchup with the great storytelling involving Balor, but it was really a coming of age. This was Priest's best matchup, in my opinion, on the main roster. As far as a one-on-one matchup, probably his best work that I've seen from him. He showed a lot. He had a hard-hitting, physical affair. And at this point, I was like, this is my new match of the night, because I rated this the same. I give it 4.25 stars. This was excellent. This was hard hitting. It was physical. It had the storytelling at the end with Balor, and the turn by Balor betraying Priest is a moment that's going to be replayed over and over again and really sets in motion what's going to be the main storyline on Monday Night Raw for the next couple of months. So great stuff all around here. And I love Balor's look at the end, just staring down on, just looking so evil. He looked so evil. His facial expressions were perfect for this moment as Priest was getting choked out and loses the World Heavyweight Championship. So great stuff all around. Everybody played their role well. And most of all, the Ring General is the World Heavyweight Champion. Great match. What did you think?
The match was better than I expected. I was more worried about it because more so Priest. It's not so much that I'm not a Damian Priest fan. I do like Damian Priest, but you know, it's one of those things where with Damian, it's more of like we haven't, even before the WWE stuff, right? He was never a top guy anywhere. He was never that kind of guy. So when he comes to WWE, he was in a position where he got nothing to lose, right? He got absolutely nothing to lose, and the WWE run has been far better than anything he's done than like a Ring of Honor or any other independent stuff that he's done. So for somebody to get like that kind of a push, and it's been a while. I'm not gonna say that soon. But for somebody freshly faced like that, and then to get the kind of push that he's done, it rarely happens. It doesn't happen often. So like he's in kind of like an awareness space where it's like, you know, everything he's doing is house money, basically. So you know, that's why for me it was kind of like, I wonder how these two guys are gonna deliver. Like, I wonder what's gonna happen. And thankfully they both did, you know. The chops were crazy. He fucking busted Gunther open. I was like, yo,
his titty was leaking, like
I was like, damn. I was like, that's when to me, like that's when I was like, yeah, to me it was like, yo, like when that shit happened, that's when I was like, oh, so this is where this match is going. Like, and that's where I got into it. I was like, holy shit, like these guys are fucking delivering. And you know, that's a good thing, you know. It worked out. And this match again, when we're talking about guys who won matches or solidify certain things, this kind of solidifies Damian Priest of being I want to say a top guy, but a top babyface for sure. Like, there's a lot of things that happen, not only in the match, but the crowd being behind him. This helped him a lot, even in a losing effort. This has done a lot, and I'm happy to see that, right? And this was what we were saying too. I'm like, yo, all he has to do is fucking deliver, and nobody will remember the fucking botch pin that happened. Nobody's talking about it now because he's been delivering and he's been doing his best. And I think a lot of people have been seeing that. As far as the overall match, I mean, the whole thing with Finn, I thought that was great. The camera angle was great because you didn't see it coming. And then once you did, the fans got into that. I think that really helped a lot too. Like, because, you know, sometimes when you hear like the fans warring, something's about to happen, you didn't get no indication of that until somebody came in, put the foot on, and that's when the crowd like reacted like, what the fuck just happened? And it was Finn. So I thought they played that perfectly. I thought the camera spots were way better here compared to like the LA Knight and Logan Paul shit, because I thought they were fucking up a lot. So the camera angles here, I felt like it benefited them a lot when it came to that. Like, it worked out. But overall, I mean, it was a fun matchup, and the right guy won. I know people were saying that Damian was gonna win. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
our very own Romeo, I made him apologize to me because he said, "Oh, you're." Whoa. I was 5 for 5 at that point. I was like, Gunther, come on, Gunther, let's get. And I understand Romeo apologized for being too Puerto Rican. He was too Boeing.
Yeah. That was like a half-ass apology because he didn't apologize for being wrong. He just apologized for being Puerto Rican. I don't know if that's. I guess that's the best you're gonna get out of an apology, I guess. But even I was just like, you really think Damian gonna win tonight? I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're gonna go for it. You don't have Gunther lose again. Like, you know, he lost at WrestleMania. He loses again now. It's like, okay, where are we going with this guy? So I think you had to do it now. And you can have another nice long title run for a world championship. That means something. So it works out.
And also you had Gunther and Nia win, so it solidifies the king and queen of the ring.
Yeah, so
it solidifies that if you win this tournament, you can become the champion at SummerSlam. So it makes sense on a number of different levels.
Shit, exactly. So I mean, hey, it worked out. So I mean, match was great overall. Like, if people are saying that this was their match of the night, I wouldn't even blame them because it's definitely a good quality match. Like, it's definitely up there. So again, great overall match. Both guys delivered, and this helps Damian a lot. I think if the match was flat and it was doo-doo water, it would have done more damage for Damian. But I'm glad it did the opposite.
Yeah, I see a couple of people saying this in the chat. Emmanuel saying, my nitpick is why would Finn cost Priest his title instead of trying to take it himself? Dustin says, so Finn was fine with Walter kicking him in the head. Why wouldn't he just cost Walter and go after the world title himself? I'll answer this because I know that Dustin, he does a great job of watching kind of all of wrestling, so he probably doesn't watch WWE as much as like we do here. So I will let y'all know, Finn Balor was not winning no world fucking title. Like that's why Finn screwed Priest, because he is more effective at screwing Priest than beating Priest or Gunther. He's not gonna beat Priest. We proved that last year. He got 147 shots at the world title. It could not win fucking one of them. That's why he screwed Priest instead of trying to go after the world title himself. Because he knows now he has no fucking shot at beating Priest, beating Gunther, beating Seth, beating Punk. They have established that Finn Balor is not on those level of those guys. He's on a level below them. So that's why he did not go after the world title himself.
Yeah,
let me specify. I'm not saying that Balor is not as talented as those guys. I'm saying this company has booked him to the point that he is at the level below all those guys.
Yeah, and then also I think if he goes after the title, goes after Damian, it's honestly that just would have been It's like what? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not an interesting angle. It's not an interesting story. Like him screwing Priest is an interesting story because that's the dismantle of the Judgment Day. That's what you need. You need something dramatic to happen, and him costing the title means more than all right. I'm fucking turning on you and going after that title. It's like, what? You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, man. Also, that's a feud that doesn't need a title match because it's a dismantle of a fucking stable. So you don't need a title match. And like you said, he wasn't winning no fucking title. So why would you want the title for yourself anyway? He wasn't winning.
Exactly.
So
He wasn't going to win.
I mean, this is a better story. I think him screwing him out of the title, it's a way better angle than it would have been the opposite.
And Chief brings up a good point. He says, I like how Priest looks strong. He never tapped. He just passed out. Priest, regardless, I think they could have done more with his world title reign, at least getting him like a clean win in one of his title defenses. But you cannot deny the babyface turn that has gone on in this feud with Gunther and all the dissension that went on with the Judgment Day during his reign. He's in a much better position than he was before his reign than he is now. After his reign, he feels like he could be a top babyface in this company for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's all you really ask for when it comes to Priest, because obviously Triple H does see a lot in him, right? You see his stuff at NXT, and then he gets into the main roster. He does stuff with Bad Bunny. You know, they even put faith in him enough to have a match with Bad Bunny, and he was the one that carried the match to make Bad Bunny look good, and that was a great match. That was probably their best match of the night for that pay-per-view in Puerto Rico. So they've done a lot for Priest that is like, you know, he's proving himself time and again like he could do it. And I think, like I said, last night he proved that he could do it. And the crowd being behind him helps a whole lot, because the crowd was not behind him. His momentum is dead. So I'm glad to see that at least.
And that's up. I think that it's very kind of, you could see that JD McDonough is probably going to still stick with Finn.
Because JD's a bitch.
I would love if the story was that this was a long game by Finn and Liv, because they were the main rivals of the Judgment Day back in 2022. And Finn infiltrated it, got rid of Edge, and then he basically had, you know, him, Damian, and Rhea for a while. Then he put his own guy, JD McDonough, in the group. He basically got the favor of Dom at the same time after he joined the group. And then Carlito has kind of been flirting with the group for a while. So I would love if they explained that this was a long ploy by Finn to kind of take over the Judgment Day.
I mean, I hope so. I think anything less than that would have been kind of like if they say, oh yeah, you know, like Liv has something to do with it. Like at the moment of after Mania, I think that would be kind of like meh, wouldn't be as interesting. But if they tell a story of like long before this, then I think that can make things interesting, because then it's like, wait, man, bro, like you playing me this whole time, like you fucking master manipulator, like Aubrey Graham. Like that's what you did to me the whole time.
Manipulator. In hopes of being accepted. We got.
That's like what he did.
we get a corny segment next. Miz and Truth announced the attendance for 57,791 in Cleveland Brown Stadium. Then Austin Theory and Grayson Waller come out. They insult them, as well as Jelly Roll. Truth thought that they were Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton, the Rock and Roll Express. He thought one of them got their eye fixed. And then Jelly Roll appears in the ring with the steel chair. He helps Truth and Miz wipe A-Town down under. And then Jelly Roll, Miz, and Truth hit the 5-knuckle shuffle on Austin Theory. This was a segment.
Yeah.
You could have cut this. You could have cut this segment completely out, and you could have gave this time to Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn.
in the crowd, I would say it was about 55,000. It wasn't 57.
I know WrestlePix did specify that was probably 55,000. So WWE has not gotten rid of inflating numbers in the Triple H.
Yeah, because the ticket sales weren't over 57,000 available. It was less than that. But 55,000 for Cleveland is still great. That's a great number for Cleveland. I just wish they were more accurate with that. But WWE going WWE, so I can't really.
Exactly.
I can't ask too much.
We shouldn't be surprised. And
it's like, hey, let's ask for a little bit, just a little bit. Inflation, not too much. I think if we said 60,000, that's gonna be too much. People are gonna notice.
Yeah,
let's put it up for 57. Let's say 57K.
All right, it's time to talk about the main event of the show. We get Solo Sikoa. He enters this matchup alone for Bloodline Rules match against Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed WWE Championship. Got to talk about the pre-match for this. As we see, Cody is all alone on his bus. He walks off his bus and he makes his final walk to the ring with Pharaoh. He announced after the show that this was Pharaoh's last time traveling with him since Pharaoh is 13 years old. So he's giving him one last walk here on camera. He walks through the backstage area and he meets up as he gets emotional. Graves notes that Rhodes was emotional because this would be Pharaoh's last final trip on the road. Rhodes embraces none other than the returning former AEW star, Arn Anderson, on his way through the backstage area. The crowd popped for this one. Arn warned him that he had a target on his back, but Arn still had some influence. And Rhodes still has some friends who were on their way. The fans chanted for Cody. At this point, he gave the dog to one of his assistants, puts on his coat, puts on a big skull mask, and he makes his way to the ring. Cody Rhodes pretty much got the biggest ovation of anyone during their entrance until the fans chanted for Cody as he made his way through Gorilla. Rhodes wore a skull mask through to the stage and left it on the stage as he made his way down, taking pictures, signing autographs. We get the big main event intros for both men, and then the match starts. Solo counters one of Cody's patented moves, the drop down uppercut early on. They tried to tell the story that Solo was prepared for some of Cody's signature offense. He hits consecutive Samoan drops. Rhodes responds with a big Cody cutter. He sends Solo to the outside and hits a tope suicida. Cody tries to go for the Dusty Rose jabs and bionic elbow, but Solo catches a dangerous, beautiful disaster kick attempt and hits a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. They traded counters until Solo was able to hit the spinning Solo for a 2 count. Rose tried to fight back. Oh, we got a run in. It only took me so long.
Wow.
Say hi to Josh.
Hi, Josh. I ate my Oreos.
You ate ice cream? Yo, you hate Oreos?
Yeah.
That's why it's on your nose?
Milk.
Who did you have winning, Solo or Cody? The wrestler? Oh, no? Okay, that's fine. You happy Roman Reigns is back?
Yeah.
All right. All right, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you popping in. That's all? You're not going to tell them the super chat? Okay, there you go. She said super chat, y'all. Solo hits the spinning Solo for a 2 count. Rhodes starts to fight back, but Solo hits another Samoan drop. Oh, we got another run. See, I knew she was coming back. That's why I didn't go to another picture. Smiling for everybody.
Yeah.
Sensei, send super chat. And like shit. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Spray that in my face. Yeah, you almost sprayed it in your own face. What is that?
Yeah.
Almost like, I don't know, some Probably a glass cleaner. There we go. He's got to have a run-in from Harlem, but here we go, folks. If you wanted it, you got it. Solo hits consecutive headbutts as Cody is hung upside down in the ropes. Rhodes avoids another one and hits a Terry Funk-esque moonsault off the top rope. Then he follows up with a big superplex. They went back and forth until Cody was able to catch Solo with a crossroads. And at this point, we got Bloodline rules. 16 minutes into this fucking matchup. 16 minutes. Finally, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, they enter to break up the cover after the crossroads. We get them beating down on Cody, hitting a double team move. Tonga Loa tries to put Cody into the corner, and he misses the corner. You can't have a Tonga Loa run in without him botching something. Then we get
this has to be a gimmick at this point. It gotta be a fucking when I saw that, and I made the joke in the chat. I was just like, let's see what Tonga botches now. I was joking because I was trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, all right, maybe this is the night he doesn't botch. And guess what? He proved me right again.
Kevin Owens makes his return to a good pop from the crowd. He ran out and got beat up by the Bloodline after throwing punches at them. And this leads to Randy Orton coming out with this music. He gets a huge pop from the Cleveland crowd. He gets into the ring and he lays out Tonga Loa with the RKO. Owens gives Tama a stunner. Owens gave Solo the freaking senton, and then Cody hit the crossroads, but he was only able to get a 2 count. At that point, Owens and Orton chased out the GOD, leaving Cody and Solo alone again. Rhodes figured that it was now okay to use some weapons. He got the steel steps into the ring. He tries to clobber Solo with it, but Solo's able to hit a big spear for a 2 count. Solo sets the steps up in the corner. He tries for a running hip attack, but Cody's able to move out the way, and Solo crashes into the steel steps. Rhodes hits 1 crossroads. He hits a 2nd crossroads. Commentary is talking about how it was 3 crossroads at WrestleMania that gave him the win the last time he was in Bloodline rules. But then before the 3rd crossroads, Jacob Fatu shows up. He hits a whisper in the wind that looked beautiful, wiping out Cody. He then follows up with a even more beautiful double jump moonsault. He then places Solo on the cover, but Cody is able to kick out. So Jacob Fatu super kicks Rhodes a few times. He then places him on the announce table and hits his huge big splash off the top rope through the commentary table, the same move that he hit during his debut in June. But on the landing, it looks like he may have hurt himself. He starts selling his leg. He's pissed at this point. You could tell. This is why some people was like, oh, I thought it was a work, but I was like, nah, he's selling this too. He's either the best actor in the world or he's legitimately hurt because he looks pissed. He starts throwing orders to Solo, telling him to put him back into the ring. Solo puts Cody back into the ring. He has a splash off the top rope, but Cody kicks out. He then tries to follow up with the Samoan spike, but Cody is able to move out the way, and he hits a big top rope Cody cutter. With both men down, the hush goes over the crowd, and then the music of the original Tribal Chief Roman Reigns hit, and he comes out to an electric pop from this crowd. The pop was very much sustained, but Roman Reigns came out to altered ring music. I thought this was a place that you just play his regular Roman theme, but they played the one I think they debuted at WrestleMania 40. But the crowd was still so happy to see Roman Reigns. They were chanting "We want Roman" during parts of the matchup. They were chanting "We want Roman" before the matchup when the video for the match aired. So they were happy to see the Tribal Chief was back. You had commentary that were kind of teasing, what is Roman going to do? Is he going to attack Cody? Is he going to come after Solo? He immediately hits the ring. He hits a Superman punch on Solo. He then gets into the corner. We get the hoo-wah with the whole crowd behind Roman for the first time ever. He done that hoo-wah. It was the loudest hoo-wah we've ever heard as Roman hits a huge spear. The crowd erupts with another huge pop. They're chanting, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!" People are on their feet going crazy. Then we get the nice little stare down as Roman looks over to Cody. He has a stare down with the man that beat him for the undisputed WWE Championship. But then Roman leaves the ring with Cody with the advantage. Cody picks up Solo. He hits one more crossroads. 1, 2, 3 to another big pop from the fans as Cody Rhodes defeats Solo Sikoa in Bloodline rules. Rhodes celebrates as Roman looks on, giving a knowing look, kind of giving his approval, but still looking like he has unfinished business with not only Solo, the man that tried to make himself an appointed tribal chief, but also with the man that took his title at WrestleMania 40. On the outside, you get Jacob Fatu, who's still down, still selling the leg, and Solo Sikoa basically crying like a child. So pissed off that Roman Reigns is back and screwed him out the undisputed WWE Championship. While Roman looks on at Cody celebrating the win, this is exactly what the Roman Reigns return needed to be. It needed to be the big moment, the huge pop we've been all waiting for. The crowd erupted. The crowd reacted to this great. Roman played his spot so well. Solo, took the offense from Roman Reigns well here. Cody sold Roman's return really, really well as well. And I love the little stare down between the two. Like, we could finally get one-on-one Roman Reigns babyface versus Cody Rhodes babyface. It's a totally different matchup. That honestly feels like a WrestleMania main event itself on its own, even though we all kind of seem like we're going to get Cody versus Rock at WrestleMania. They could honestly do Roman versus Cody 3 because of how great, how legendary their matchup at WrestleMania 40 was. And we could finally get them one-on-one as baby faces. No outside interference. Who's the better man once and for all? But this was all about the Roman Reigns moment and return. So that was great. The match was not. Solo Sikoa was put in a position that I don't think he's ready for. I don't think he's ready for headline of SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. He's just not there yet. And the first 16 minutes of this matchup really dragged. It really put down the crowd. And the crowd pretty much was just waiting for the outside interference. I think there's a couple of different ways you could have changed this to get the most out of the crowd. Like, have Tama Tonga and Tongaloa go out to the ring with Solo. Why are you keeping them in the back to just make the crowd not even pay attention to the ring, where they're paying attention to the entranceway more than they're paying attention to the action in the ring? Have them at ringside, and it's just about when they're going to get involved. When are they going to pull the trigger to get them involved, instead of making the crowd look at the entranceway the whole time? But like I said, it wasn't really about the matchup itself. It was all about the Roman Reigns return, which is part of the problem why I don't think this match really worked that well. But I'm still going to give it 2 3/4, 3 stars. It was fine. It turned, the whole package was good. The Roman return was great. The match, not so much. What did you think, Josh?
Same. I know people are saying that the match was mid. I think it was below mid. I think it was just bad. It dragged. The crowd just felt like they were either not into it or they were waiting for something to happen. And usually that doesn't go well when that happens. So the crowd just felt completely dead. It was kind of like they were kind of waiting for the big moment to happen. And, sometimes that could hurt a match as well, because, people would think, oh, yeah, this is a bad match. But then, the match, like you said, Solo's not ready. And I kind of, what it was too, man. Like, I kind of knew this is what it was gonna go, because of Solo Sikoa. He like you said, he's not ready. He shouldn't have been put in a position like this. I get why he was, because of the storyline. That's basically why he was put in this situation. But I mean, what we've seen so far from Solo, I mean, you know, we haven't seen that much big of improvement in ring for me to like really care. You know, and yesterday this was part of the post that I made. I was just like, man, like Roman Reigns saved that main event, because I was like, that match was rough to watch. I was like, if it wasn't for Roman Reigns coming in and doing what he did, this match would have been complete. Like it would have been even lower, in my opinion. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate. You know, Cody tried to do the best he can with what he was given. But then also, like, we've seen these guys work on television already. Like, you know, at this point, it's kind of like, what are we gonna get different that we haven't seen already? And we didn't see anything different, you know. And then the run-ins, and I mean, the runs kind of felt flat for me. Like, the reason why in Mania it worked so well is because Roman and Cody, not only they're great, but they had a 20-minute match that was like fucking great, just them straight up working. And that's when the run-ins came in. This one kind of just felt like, all right, we just need this. We need this to happen now. And then it kind of just happened, right? It happened less than 20 minutes. And then, you know, it didn't hit the same. You know what I mean? Like it just felt flat. And the reason why this was made Bloodline Rules, this is kind of why it was made Bloodline Rules, because they probably figured like, oh wait, Solo's not ready, and we can't have.
I was just trying to figure out why they didn't use weapons during that first 16 minutes of the matchup, like,
and that would cover up a lot. That would have covered up so much. That would have, and I thought that was the route they're going to go, because they're like, all right, Solo's kind of limited. He doesn't really have a big arsenal of moves. Let's do something a little bit different from the first Bloodline Rules match. And unfortunately, they didn't. And that's why it just felt flat. And then, you know, Tangaloa. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you know, the last 2 days, his brother won the tag team titles, and him and his brother are the tag team. And yet they didn't put him as the champion. They put Jacob Fatu. That all should tell you about how they feel about Tangaloa right now. And then, you know, he misses such a simple fucking spot. I'm just like, bro, like, it's like, god damn.
Cody in the corner. All he had to do was put him in the corner, Josh. He couldn't do it.
And instead he put him on the ropes. And I'm like, oh boy, like, damn, man. Like, it just felt flat. Like everything's, and then again, it was great to see Roman. He looks good. You know, the crowd got into it, and you know, he did what you say he was going to do. He screwed over Solo. That's what it needed to be done. I mean, there's no complaints when it comes to Roman. There's no complaints. He did what he had to do. He looked good. He did his part, you know, and then, you know, Cody ended up winning. It was just, you know, it was not a good main event. Again, people are saying it's mid. No, I think it's below mid. I think it was just bad. And it's okay. They have bad matches. It's okay. It's okay to admit that it was bad. That's what I did. Somebody was trying to like not really defend it, but they were trying to say like, oh, you know, but WWE matches that they're about moments and all this stuff. I'm like, bro, you don't got to tell me about what I know about WWE. I know about all this shit, but I'm like, if the match wasn't good, it wasn't good. And that's what I was alluding to earlier. I was like, you know, Braun and Sammy was a short match, but I felt better watching that match than I did the main event. I was like, that's just how I felt. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with the time. It has to do with the chemistry. The chemistry just was not there yesterday. And again, it's okay to say that. WWE is not going to be perfect, everybody. It's not going to be perfect. And it was okay to admit that. But again, it did its job yesterday. Like, you know, Cody retained, Roman is back. So, you know, that's what they care about, you know. But if we're here, we're critiquing the match and we're saying how we feel about the match, I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say a match is bad, because I think people got too comfortable with like, oh, you know, they're trying their best, they're doing this, but then it's like, no, but that's a false, you know, pretense of how you feel about the match. If you feel it was bad, just say it was bad, and that's how I feel. Yeah. The match was bad. It's okay to say that.
It was not good. It did not feel like a main event. Like they worked a boring ass match for 16 minutes of a 30-minute fucking matchup. And then all the run-ins and shit, I said it in our chat, and I'll say it here. It felt like we saw the better version of this at WrestleMania. This is the same matchup but we saw the better version at WrestleMania. And if it wasn't for Roman Reigns, I would have nothing positive to say about this match. Like, it was not good. It was
what,
not
like you said,
you guys Solo doing fucking nerve hose in 2024. Like, this is Cody's worst title defense on an ELE of the year so far.
Yeah, and it's like
both AJ matches were better. Logan Paul was better. Even the 6-man at Money in the Bank was better than this.
Yeah, and like you said yesterday, that match was basically, hey, we got Cody and Roman versus Roman at home. That's that's what it was. That's what the match was. And again, like, yeah, man, it just, if it wasn't for Roman, again, the match would probably be a lot worse. Somebody else said, I think when I brought it up yesterday, they said they agreed with me. They said they would have put Punk and Drew as the main event. I stopped them at that because I said, no, Roman Reigns returning, it's a main event spot. Regardless of what we thought the match was bad or not, you don't put Roman Reigns in the middle of the card. You don't put Roman Reigns' return in the middle of the card. That would never fly. That would never fly.
The biggest and longest sustained pop of the whole entire night. Like I said, Cody, after his entrance, he had the biggest pop for his entrance. But then Roman's pop exceeded that. Even with altered remix music, that kind of felt like the pop was kind of muted or stilted because it isn't a stadium. It's always going to sound like that. But it was very sustained. Like, they popped for different things. They got louder and louder as he came out. Superman punch, big pop. When he did the ooh-wah, they all did ooh-wah, and then they erupted after the spear. And then him doing the stare down with Cody had the big pop itself as well. And then Cody getting the win got the big pop as well. So all around, Roman Reigns had the headline this show, but Solo Sikoa did not.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was at. When somebody said that, I was like, if this was a different night, if this was a different kind of event, if Roman Reigns was not coming back, that's a better argument. Like, yeah, maybe Drew and Punk should main event. That was not going to happen. Like, you could have done it. That would be like at another like PLE, especially like if he's not working or they're not putting the title on the line, then that could work. But it's a SummerSlam. Roman has been rumored for a while that he was coming back at SummerSlam. He's the main event spot. Like, you put this in the main event. Again, if you put this shit in the middle of the fucking card, guess what? The crowd would have been even more dead because they got what they wanted, and then the crowd just would have been inflated. How many times have we seen a WWE event where we got what we wanted during the middle of the show, and then the crowd is just like, they're done because they got what they wanted? We've seen that several times throughout the years for that. So when I said that, I was like, no, like, this had to be the main event. It wasn't the main event, but it had to be the main event spot for a reason because of that man right there on the screen, because he returned. Like, that's what it's all about. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, again, like I said, match was not good. It was just
and Solo, regardless of him not performing up to, you know, me and Josh saying, or a lot of y'all in the chat from what we're seeing, he's a made man though, like as a character, because he has a money feud waiting for him. Like, we know more about his future. We don't know if WWE is going to pull the trigger on Roman versus Cody. I don't think they're going to do that at Bash in Berlin. I think that type of matchup, especially Roman versus Cody, it has to be on one of your big four. It has to be, if you want to pull the trigger on it for Royal Rumble, or if you want to change up the decisions for WrestleMania 41, because Roman Reigns coming back, he feels like the top star. Like, then it's really, you really have an Austin Rock situation, especially over on SmackDown. They're on the same brand, it would seem, because the Bloodline is over on SmackDown. That is the group that Roman's going to be feuding with or have his story with. Now you have two big egos, two guys that have had the number one spot for the past 4 years going at it, and that is an eventual showdown that has to happen. And in any other world that The Rock didn't return at the beginning of this year, that's your WrestleMania match right now. After this return, I would say that's your WrestleMania match. You let Roman feud with Solo up until like January, and then he wins the Royal Rumble to set up him versus Cody 3 at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple things that they could do. It's gonna be interesting. So I mean, it helps them a lot because now, again, creative wise, it's not really a hard situation. It's more of like, all right, now we have more opportunity to do things. That's what I give Triple H credit for, to an extent, where it's not so much like, oh my God, this is fucking difficult. It's more of like, hey, there's more opportunities that we could create more shit with. It's just a matter of how you do it. So again, this creates more opportunities for something going forward, going into a Mania. Do I think that the rematch happens at WrestleMania? I think it's gonna be The Rock. I do think they're gonna put focus on that, because then I think, because you would have to do the reveal at some point that Solo was working for The Rock the whole entire time. So at some point you got to also reveal that. So again, this makes things very interesting. It's not a bad thing. I think this creates more speculation of, okay, where things go from here. It's not predictable because we don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. So I like it. I like it for that aspect.
Yeah, I think we're heading towards OG Bloodline versus new Bloodline. And I like the fact that they have kind of set their things in motion where Roman doesn't need to only be on SmackDown because he was taken out of the WWE draft by Paul Heyman. So he could go to Raw and do some recruiting of getting Jey Uso back on side. He could do some recruiting of going to Raw and recruiting the honorary Uso, Sami Zayn, back on side. We could get Jimmy Uso returning in the next couple of weeks. We got the Jimmy Uso return to come. We got the Paul Heyman return to come. They have months and months of story within the Bloodline and the Bloodline Civil War 2.0.
And they're also, they still have Hikuleo signed. He signed with WWE. So that's going to be another factor of like how they're going to implement him. He's probably going to be with the what did they call it? What kind of bloodline for Solo? What was the name of it again?
Well, everybody's been calling it the new Bloodline or the Timu Bloodline.
The Timu, yeah, the Timu. He might be in the Timu bloodline because I think he's like the brother of who's his brothers again? Right. So he's most likely going to link up with them, which would make the most sense because there's connection there. So you still have that factor. Now, is he a bigger factor? No, but that's still something out there. Like, yeah, he signed, and now they're just waiting to implement him. So again,
you saw how over Jey Uso was. You heard the crowd when the God comes out and attacks Cody. They were chanting yeet. They didn't even think Kevin Owens and Randy Orton was going to come back after they got taken out a couple of weeks ago. They were chanting yeet. They thought Jey Uso was going to get involved. So that's going to be a big reaction whenever Jey Uso gets back involved in the Bloodline storyline.
And he fucking needs it because I'm sick and tired of this yeet bullshit.
We need him to be the great actor that he was with the Bloodline and not the yeet merchandise machine.
Not the yeet little John guy that we've been getting.
We do have a super chat donation once again from Mr. Banda. Thank you so much, Mr. Banda, for the support. You're killing it, guys, for this review here. We appreciate you. He says, Harlem Heat, better take her to the PC when she turns 18, SP. You might have a dominant Black future women's champion under your roof. She's taking on Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi, everybody. Ava, the rock starter. Harlem's going to take them all out. Harlem's going to be the women's champion of all women's champions. PC, she might even go to AEW and win some AEW, TBS, and AEW Women's World Title Gold if they're around in 14 years. But thank you for the super chat donation, Banda. But yeah, that's gonna be the main storyline, and then it's also gonna be it's gonna have like one A storyline and one B storyline. I think that you need to find a way to detach Cody from the Bloodline storyline, and I think the way to do that is having Randy Orton finally pull the trigger and turn on him.
Yeah, they got to focus on that. Kind of keep it away for a while.
Yeah. Keep him away from the Bloodline storyline a while, and then he finally comes back into it when The Rock returns, and then you could play with. I think maybe they could do Roman and Cody 3 at the Royal Rumble. You have Cody Roman 3 at the Royal Rumble, and you have Rock win the Royal Rumble to set up him, and then that's the type of matchup where you could finally do one where a title match is in the main event slot instead of one of the Royal Rumble matches. You could have Rock win the Royal Rumble, and then the winner of Cody versus Roman will face Rock at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, there's so many different ways we can go now. Mr. Bonda says, personally, I'd rather have Reigns versus Cody 3 than Reigns versus Rock at Mania. The ship has sailed on that match, and I worry it won't deliver in ring at this point. That's just me, though. Yeah, I think there's still interest in Reigns versus Rock, but we haven't even got there yet. The Reigns versus Rock is not happening at Mania 41, Bonda. The plan right now seems like it's going to be Rock and Cody at WrestleMania 41. And I thought before last night, I thought that the match for Roman is Roman versus Solo finally at WrestleMania. But after Solo kind of failed his test, they might finish that before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that'll be a downgrade for Roman. That'll be such a downgrade for Roman. So besides that, it's gonna be interesting how they're gonna do that. Like,
did you do a costume change?
Yeah.
You got Power Driver Finisher says, when you're first in Athena.
I got popcorn.
You got popcorn for Athena?
And I go to the bath.
You're gonna take a bath? Oh, you took a bath? Or are you gonna take a bath? Okay. Well, she let us know she's taking a bath, guys. So she won't be back. We got Tony K who says Rhea is feeling oozy tonight. That's another direction over there on Raw. They could do Rhea and Jay versus Dom and Liv until they're ready to put Jay back into the Bloodline storyline.
Yeah, and then Rikishi ain't gonna be too happy about that.
Not at all. And we got Dion who says, I'd like to see Reigns, Rock, and Cody Orton at WrestleMania. No, I think you got to pull the trigger on Cody Orton.
No, I think we already seen a tag match, and that match was so fine. I don't want them to rinse, repeat.
I think he's saying Reigns versus Rock and Cody versus Orton at WrestleMania.
Oh, it could be. It looked like, because he didn't put verses. I'm like, you just put verses. That kind of. Yeah. But if you just saying and, I'm like, that looks like a tag match to me. But if you're doing that, I mean, even with that, I'm like, to be honest with you, I'd rather see Cody versus Rock.
Yeah.
Cody
versus Rock seems like that's the money matchup to do.
Because
then you get to draw out Rock and Reigns. Rock and Reigns, I think I've been saying it for now pretty much a year. Rock and Reigns is happening at 42 in London, probably.
Yeah, and then it's just, I don't know. Because the thing with Orton, I know everybody loves Orton, but he's just in the moment at the time. He's already like on a down part of his career, and I don't know. I just don't like. I think you could put Orton versus Cody at one of the other pay-per-views, but not Mania.
You ate all your popcorn? Okay, I guess you can get more if you ate dinner already. I don't know.
I just want to put that for Mania. It's like, I don't know. I want to put that for Mania.
Yeah, it is in the realm of possibility that Triple H will draw out the Cody and Orton stuff until Mania, but I don't want him to. I think that you need to have Cody have a rivalry in the last half of this year that doesn't consist of the Bloodline. So do that. And Tony K says, I prefer Cena versus Rhodes at WrestleMania in Vegas. We talked about it yesterday on True Hill Heat. They already made the report that Cena versus Gunther is going to be one of his marquee matchups. You do that for the world title at WrestleMania.
Yeah. As fun as it would be to see Cena versus Cody, I think they're gonna go the other route. I think it's gonna be Gunther, which is a fine, it's a fine choice. I'm glad with that. That happens because I think with Rhodes, I think with Cody, I think it's gonna have to be somebody from the Bloodline. I think it's either gonna be Roman again or it's gonna be The Rock. I think that's just the two routes you go. I think any other route, it just kind of would just be flat. But then also, we don't even know if Cody's gonna be champion by then. Like if he's gonna going into Mania, because you know how sometimes WWE operates. If The Rock decides to throw his weight around again, who knows if he's champion before then? So you never know. So
I said it before. My off the rails prediction for the first episode on Netflix: Rock beats Cody for the WWE Championship on the first episode. On
yeah, that's wild. That's insane.
Mr. Bonda, I will remember this chat. He says Harlem will be a belt collector. Remember this chat. I will. But yes, let's finish things up for our SummerSlam review. You guys have been awesome. Final call for Super Chat donations. Let us know your match of the night, your MVP, your LVP out of 10. What did you give the show? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for me and Josh for WWE SummerSlam 2024. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from both of us out of 10. What did you give this show, Josh?
I'm gonna go with a solid 9.
Wow, solid 9. That's big. I'm gonna go with 8.5. 8.5
That's fine.
out of 10 for SummerSlam. I would say SummerSlam.
Actually, I would say about 8.75. I said 9 because of that, but me is like 8.75 because I did have low expectations. Like yesterday when you asked us about like how excited we were, I was at a 6. So 8.5 is really good.
Yeah, that is. I'll go 8.5. I would say SummerSlam was the second best WWE PLE of 2024 behind WrestleMania.
I agree.
Night 1, night 2.
I agree.
We got Mr. Bonda who gives it a 9 out of. He's like, I'll go for it. 9 out of 10 for him. We got Seth who gives it an 8.5 out of 10. A bunch of thumbs up in the chat for sure. What was your match of the night, Josh?
Punk versus McIntyre. I said it earlier. That was my match of the night. I'm sticking with that pick.
I'm gonna go with Gunther versus Damian Priest. I gave both matches 4.25. I might go higher for this matchup because I thought the in-ring action was better than Punk and Drew in Priest and Gunther. Probably Priest's best singles match of his WWE career.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who was your MVP for the show, Josh?
My MVP for the show was Roman Reigns.
I'm gonna go with I'll go with Roman Reigns. I'll go co-MVP, Roman Reigns and Gunther. Those are my co-MVPs there. Your LVP for the show, Josh.
LVPs, LVP will be easily Solo Sikoa.
I really wanted to say CM Punk for screwing himself, but yeah, it's probably Solo Sikoa. It's probably, if I'm being honest, as far as like people who did not live up to the hype or failed like a big major test, it's Solo. It's Solo for me.
Yeah, because with Punk at least what backs him up is he had a great matchup.
Yeah,
and people are praising his the storytelling within the matchup. So even though he lost the match because of him being stubborn and being himself, he makes it up for a lot of stuff. It's just Solo was put into a position where he could have easily lost, and then if he had a great performance, people will be on that. People will be talking about that. Instead, is the opposite. It's the match wasn't good, and Solo did not look good. And usually when you get those two combinations, it usually means that the company is not really going to be behind you for very long.
exactly. You either got to step up and prove yourself, or you got to come a long way. Like Rhea Ripley was another candidate that I did think about because she got betrayed and she should have saw it coming. But yeah, like Punk and Rhea, it's storyline reasons why I would give LVP. Like Solo, I think you failed a major test. They gave you a big opportunity here, and you didn't feel like you lived up to it in my eyes. But
Yeah, and Rhea looked good. Coming back from a shoulder injury, she looked good in the match. And that tells you something. Like, she came back from a shoulder injury and she looked good. Solo been active and he came out with that dud. So it's not good.
Indeed. But yes, thank you guys for showing your support. We appreciate y'all for commenting live. Appreciate your super chat donations. Remember, if you haven't already, to drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video on all your social media platforms. And of course, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified, because we're live pretty much all days of the week. We got shorts, we got videos, but we always got something on this channel 7 days a week. Josh, want to thank you for joining me for the review here, but let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they'll see you again.
You can follow me at jmpunk321, Twitter and Instagram. And you'll see me again for next weekend's Chill Heat episode. Which one is it? 289?
89.
You see,
we're getting closer. I forgot to mention it yesterday. We're 2 weeks away from our 7-year anniversary, and then we're about 2-3 months away from our 300th episode. So some big stuff coming.
Yeah. I'm trying to hoping I make for those 2 episodes, because I know I got like a few events coming up. I know I got in September, I got a weekend event coming up. October, I got New York Comic-Con coming up, and then I have another event the following weekend. So there's a bunch of stuff that are coming up for me. Hopefully everything works out that I'm able to do at least those 2 episodes.
Indeed. But yes, you can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Best place to support us when we are not live here, patreon.com/True Hill Heat. You got exclusive content. You got the True Hill Heat Prediction Championship coming soon. Would have been great this weekend because I went 7 for 7 in my predictions for this show. So I did great, guys. Go over to True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment. We got content over there, like our review of Clipped, the Clippers series documenting Donald Sterling. We're also going to have a review of Supercell from Netflix this coming week. Me and Josh got a team up to review Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1. So we got plenty of great content over there. So go and subscribe as well over there. And I will be back here live on Monday for our review of AEW Collision Discourse with me and Super Guy JJ. So stay locked here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel and check out the flagship podcast, True Hill Heat 288 from this past Saturday. That was a great episode we did, talking about the big news of Britt Baker being suspended from AEW, Shane McMahon's meeting with Tony Khan. We had final predictions for SummerSlam. We talked about the G1, TNA, ROH, and everything in between. So we appreciate y'all for joining us. But drop the thumbs up, comment down below, and let us know what you thought about WWE SummerSlam 2024. And we'll talk more about it coming up. True Hill Heat 289 next Saturday. So for Josh, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our WWE SummerSlam 2024 review. We are signing off until next time.